All right, what's up, everybody? It's a MycoGeeky Podcast, the podcast that goes deep so you can level up your at-home mycology game. I'm your host, MycoGeeky, and tonight we're getting back into that segment groove. I've been hustling. I've been trying to book more people. It is definitely a grind, but tonight we got a all-star cast, guys. We're gonna talk to an East Coast grower who is absolutely killing it with gourmets. He grows everything, but he's definitely kind of a gourmet guru. So we'll be talking to him. We're going to talk to James Cruz, the original isolator of Lucid Gates, amongst other things, founder of Shroomology Facebook group, and old school member of Task Syndicate. So we're going to talk to him tonight about the origins of Lucid Gates. Then we're going to go in, I'm going to bring Shay back, and then Shay and James and we're going to get into, the ongoing discussion about cultivation, cubensis ethics. And we're going to top it all off at the end, continuing our discussion about Mega 11 software that's used to align and analyze sequences, and just kind of get into the software a little bit more with Ed, as well as talking about some phylogenetic, some sort of ancillary concerns around all that stuff. So anyway, sit down, grab a drink, grab a whatever you grab when you sit down and watch the MycoGeeky Podcast, because we're about to do it. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring on this guy. So sometimes I come up with the idea of who to have on this podcast, and sometimes people message me like, you're thinking about having this guy on, right? Like this, like, how have you not had this guy on yet? I had many people say, you got to check this guy out on Instagram. He's really impressive. So anyway, I added him as a friend. We've been watching him, seeing what he's doing, getting to know him a little bit. And tonight's night, we're going to have him on. So without further ado, Shay of Mycrodex Mushrooms. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys?
All right, let me pull up your my little overlay here that I made for you, that I toil to get together. There we go. Pro shit right there, guys. All right. So so Shay has got both a really nice Instagram and a YouTube channel, and so he understands the grind of creating content, probably even more than me, because I'm kind of the lazy man's content creator. I'm just using StreamYard and doing these live broadcasts and stuff. But Shay actually makes legitimate content. It's not easy to do, right? Takes work.
It takes time. It takes time for sure. Yeah.
But you do it because you can't help yourself, can you?
Yeah, I need people to know about this stuff, man. It baffles me that no one knows about these gourmet mushrooms, and I didn't before I started talking about it. So yeah, like, people need to know.
So first off, kudos to you, because so many people wouldn't have that next thought. They wouldn't go, well, I found a cool thing. Like, oh, I found some ice cream in the back of the freezer. And they grab their spoon and they go hide in the corner and they eat all that ice cream, right? You're like, nope, okay, guys, this ice cream's good. We're going to share it with everybody. So I commend you for that. I think that's really cool. You also, guys, check out his Instagram. It's linked in the description. He absolutely knows what he's doing, but he uses some interesting tech. So I think we're going to talk to him a little bit tonight about what his process is, what some of the learning curves he had was, and hopefully by the end he will give you a real sense of how he grows, why he grows, and maybe inspire people who have hesitated to pull the trigger and give gourmets a try. So first off, my favorite question is, how did this all happen for you? What was the impetus? What was the article you read? Who was the person you met? How did it get going?
So during COVID, I was furloughed. I was a chef, or I am a chef, and I got furloughed during that time unexpectedly, and so I had a lot of time to just kind of explore myself, figure out like what I want to do in life, because I wasn't really happy cooking for like a corporate entity. So I found someone found me. I started this little like car club, and I met one of my best friends. He's my best friend now. His name's Hamza, and he introduced me to like kind of the world of mushrooms and stuff. And then one day, I guess because I was talking about it so much, I started seeing these mushroom kits from North Spore pop up in my ads. So I actually went and bought one. I bought a lion's mane, and just watching that thing grow just changed my like whole world. And I ate
Bro,
it, and
I know how you feel. I know.
it changed the way that I spoke. Like I felt like my speech got better. Just a lot of crazy little anecdotal things from like my eyesight getting better. I used to wear glasses all the time, and then I
So now
stopped.
you're talking about drying it, grinding it up, and using it as a supplement.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like even right now I'm drinking some lion's mane tea,
Nice.
and but I make enough now to be able to eat it, like in dishes, and also make teas out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I treat it almost like caffeine. Like I have like a daily fix, and it gets me in the right headspace to go on with the day.
Nice.
Yeah. But when I first discovered it, I was so like entranced by the whole thing that I went onto Reddit for pretty much the first time, and I found mushroom growers, and I just started learning grow methods, like how to clone and stuff through other people's experiences.
Right.
So by the time I was ready to pull the trigger and get my own pressure cooker back in March of 2021, I was already I felt like it's like I had done it already. So it was a lot more natural. So I went
Right.
through the process and I cloned that kit, and I kept that kit alive for like through like cloning because I didn't know anything about spores and stuff at that point. I kept that alive for about 6 months, and I just didn't have to buy anymore because it's pretty expensive to just go to the store and buy lion's mane.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main factor that kept me in it at first. Is like, man, if I let this die, I'm gonna have to start buying this. It's like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
but
yeah. Some things that don't in the cubensis community, there are varieties that are sporeless, and yeah, it's the same thing where you have to keep cloning it to keep it going. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So after I really started feeling the effects of the lion's mane, I'm like, what else is out there? And so I bought a like a 5-pack kit from, I think it was Love the Mother
Okay.
on Etsy, and I played with those for like a year. It was like pink oyster, chestnut, uh, shiitake. Yeah, I started shiitake like really early, and that was one of the first mushrooms, and that's not an easy one. There's
No.
like a 3-month incubation period that you have to be like real patient and not mess with it. So I learned a lot early on, just like taking all these species and just learning them all at the same time. And it was really overwhelming, but it really taught me how to really isolate and label all my
Right.
stuff, because there was a point where everything was, I was like, oh, I'll just remember it all. And then
No.
learned real quick. It's like, wait, so I'm growing this out and I think it's a pink oyster and then it's like a shiitake. I'm like, oh my
Right.
God, this is so bad.
So that's interesting that so what I want to say that both people I've had on the podcast, like Dave Wombat, yourself, and a bunch of friends I have that have not been on the podcast yet, have that chef background. Have that, I ran a kitchen, I was a chef.
Hmm.
And so the two themes I hear a lot is either, I used to work in a lab, I have a science background, or I have a culinary background. And it's very interesting that those are really common themes that seem to allow people to accelerate their cultivation practice. Do you want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about how, like what you learned in the kitchen, how it translates? Because I'm going to segue that into some of your growing texts, which I find fascinating.
Yeah, bro. Like if you're a chef and you're into mushrooms, you have it so easy. Like it's all just like cooking pretty much.
Yeah.
Until you start getting to inoculating, and you can learn that real quick. Your mistakes will show. Everything's very visual. So if you make a mistake, it's like, oh, I can see like where I breathe on the plate or I touched it or something. But coming from cooking, there's like grain prep. You need to, like, if you know how to cook rice, you should be good at making grain. You don't want to overcook it because then you'll get bacteria in the liquid and the jars and stuff. But if it's right and the husk is not broken, you're good to go. Like it makes, that's one of the biggest things. Like I see like on Reddit, a lot of people having problems with grain because once you get past the grain, you just sterilize the hell out of the substrate and you combine them and you're good. But the grain portion is like really ambiguous, just like agar.
I agree. It's why I'm now in love with corn, because the popcorn hull is so tough that
Yeah, bro.
once you just dial in your first your second cook time. I'm sorry, your first cook time.
Yeah.
You know, you're spot on. It works great.
Yo, I started on corn, and that's kind of where I've learned that you couldn't cook it too long, and it has to be perfect, like perfect. There's like a gradient.
Window, sure.
Yeah, but I just started messing with corn again. It's been like a year. I stopped because I was having sterilization issues. Like if you don't sterilize it long enough, it's really dense. So if you don't get down to the core, you'll get really, really late contam. Like you think everything's good, everything's white, and you transfer and you'll get like random contam in your substrate. It's like, so you got to give the corn like a lot of time. For sure.
Yeah, I think so much of the contamination can be traced back to the grain prep for sure. Whether it's overhydrating or, you know, having a portion of the interior of the grain not hydrated at all, hiding endospores and things like that. Yeah, I can agree that's sort of, that's why when I tell newbies, I say the first thing, if you just want to see what it looks like to grow some mushrooms in your house and see what you think about it all, just buy some grain spawn, or at least buy some sterilized grain so that you have some success early on. You know, like with your grow kit, right? Like
the grow kit gets you
the
right
system.
in the
You got to see that lion's mane, and we're like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, that early grow kit, just seeing the teeth of the lion's mane, it was like really small and dense, that strain, and the teeth came in real early. So as it was growing, it was like this, like gears, like coming out, and every day, every like 2 hours, it would look different.
Yep.
So it's pretty mind-boggling to not know anything about mushrooms and then get that in your house and see it growing. I think that's one of the best ways to start out.
Yeah, I think it gives you an intimacy with that process that otherwise you don't have. You can, like, you know, if you forage, right, you can like mushrooms and it rains and they're like, hey, let's go forage and look for some mushrooms. But then they're just there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't appreciate them the same way that you do when you get to cultivate and watch this growing process. It's amazing.
Speaking of that, like a lot of people, they like the like guttation of like polypores, but I just posted a time lapse of a reishi growing in my tent, and no one knew that there were like cycles where like if you're listening to this right now, go to my Instagram and look. There's one of the last few posts. It's a Ganoderma over like 6 days. You can see it pulses like a heart.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
I think I saw
metabolites
this
and the
one.
glutation, they come and go. Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, I had no idea until I looked at the footage, and I've been growing this thing this whole time. So I can only imagine for a forager, you go out and you see all these different phases, but it's just like snapshots of a longer picture that lasts maybe like 10 hours at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree. I just still tell people that first tub, I just knew the minute I was watching those shrooms come in for the first time, I was like, I don't know why. I mean, I've been a gardener. I studied bonsai in Southern California for like 12 years. But this, I don't know why these mushrooms, their morphology, their shape, their everything, I don't know why they got me so hooked, but they do.
it's like quick turnaround. Like when you're used to gardening and waiting months to get results, and you try mycology, you can get results in like 7 days.
Yeah. Yeah, you just see it all. You really do. Whereas,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess what you see, like, so if, say you're growing a tomato plant, right? You're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's a little green shoot. It's going to get bigger and
Hmm.
okay. But you kind of get it. And then you're just waiting for the fruit. And then the frickin' squirrels eat them or the deer come by and eat
Oh
them.
my
And
God.
you're disappointed. Whereas in the basement, I get the mushrooms. The deer do not
Bro, I
get
just
them.
made this huge connection. Like this is the same reason I don't like baking. Like,
Okay.
I'm a chef. I like saute and grill and just
Mm-hmm.
like quick cooking, but baking, you make one mistake, all that time you
It's
invested in
all
the
go-
prep
oh,
and all
dude.
that is gone, bro. You can't
Yes.
recover.
Yes.
Ugh.
There's no fixing it. Oh, I'm with you on the baking. I'm a decent like I can follow a recipe. Um,
Hmm.
I can cook some food, but baking it's a mystery, right? Like you don't even know how you screwed up, but you're like,
Yeah.
this
It's
cake's
like one of
looks.
these 10 things that I've not put enough baking soda or what am I
Yeah,
doing?
or I stirred it one time too many and now it failed. Yeah. Okay, so I'm with you. We both love watching mushrooms grow. And you have a background in the kitchen, so let's talk a little bit about you do something that I have heard other people do, but I thought it was cool to hear that you're a chef and then you also use oven
Oh.
tech.
Hmm.
So talk to me a little bit about how you came to do oven tech and what you've learned and because you pretty much got it dialed down. I mean, you're
It's the only tech I know, honestly. Like I tried a still air box like one time, and I'm not saying anything about the still air box. Like I'm sure I did something wrong, but I got
uh
bad contam. Like maybe I
just
didn't spray
wasn't
it
for
down
you.
enough, and I just that almost pushed me out of it. I was like, man, it's so hard.
Hmm.
And then I'm just scrolling through like dozens and dozens of YouTube videos trying to figure out like different techs to see what would fit best for my lifestyle and
Right.
my situation. And in not even the video, in the comment section of a video, someone just mentioned something about oven tech.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that just makes sense. So I just tried it. I didn't look up any text. I just took the words I saw and I
You
tried
just
it.
made a bunch of assumptions and just
Yeah.
went for it. I love it.
Yeah. Now when I go on YouTube and type in oven tech, I see people like have the oven like all the way down and they're like on their knees, like working with all this flow. But that
Hmm.
doesn't create any like back pressure.
Okay.
So all the heat would like leave immediately. So you have like a waft, a gentle waft. But when you crack it open just a little bit, you get like this back pressure. And I like to start at a higher temperature. So because like I'll put it on like 420, and that's super hot, right? But it's only gonna be that temperature for maybe like 5 to 10 seconds, and then after that, it's almost like in
Cools
between
off.
250 and 300,
Okay.
just wafting up and it works consistently. Like if there's ever any contamination, it's because I did something. Like I touched the blade or something. Like I can, and I record most of my stuff, so I can see the mistakes.
Right.
But there's nothing flying in there. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the way you do it too. You got the pressure cooker waiting a grate.
Yeah.
You guys gotta go check out his YouTube or his Instagram. He's got all sorts of videos of this. But I was watching it going, yeah, man, I'm surprised I never tried this. It's the same concept as like when I took a microbiology class. We never worked in front of a hood for anything. We used the little convection properties of the Bunsen burner to
Mhm.
do the same thing. So I was like, oh yeah, this makes total sense, man. All you really need is some airflow that's keeping, contamination away from your stuff. That's all you
Mhm.
need. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's really cool because everybody's got an oven,
Yeah.
right? And
Um, I've
everybody's got an
seen
oven.
like I feel like it works better than the oven because you don't have to worry about like, your hands are going in, so there's still like a point where they can get in. But unless you're working on the edges of the grate over the oven, there's nothing that can touch it. Like, you're
Right.
good. You can do whatever you want. You can even like breathe. Like I don't wear a
Yeah,
mask
because it's
either.
blowing away.
Yeah, it's blowing
Yeah.
straight into your face. So if you exhale, it just goes past your face.
Mm-hmm. You
Super
just
sick.
you just taunt it, don't you? You just like go,
I
just
so
breathe
I
in.
I'm gonna start doing stuff like that. I want to make the videos more flashy, like doing random
Sure.
stuff. Like how much can I do without contaminating?
Yeah, man, you gotta do them little YouTube shorts. You know, they want you to do them shorts now, so that would be
Yeah,
a great shorts. People would love seeing that.
that's gonna be my focus in Feb. Oh
Nice.
yeah, starting next week. It's gonna be good.
So you grow currently definitely lion's mane. You're killing lion's mane. You're honestly, I got some grow blocks from Slightly Feral who I've had on, and his shiitake mushrooms looked amazing. And honestly, nobody's had ever quite looked as good as his until I saw yours.
Oh my god.
I'm like, you're
Thank you.
killing the shiitakes. I know they are not easy to grow.
Okay, I
They're
did
not.
say they're not easy, but it's really just if you have the storage space for them, like if you have a closet, just it's just like anything else. You make it, put it away in the dark, wait 3 months.
And
Don't get antsy.
absolutely forget about it. Yes.
Forget about it. As soon as you take it out, if it's fully brown and you spray it, like you keep it wet, thing will explode. But
Yep.
lighting is really important.
When you're trying to fruit it.
Yeah. And there's you can hit shiitake are unique. You can hit them with like a combo for fruiting conditions. So you can put them in the light, you can wet them, you can strike them, you can pat them, and that induces pinning like really hard.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
the whole thing will pin up.
Dude, I
And,
over the knee that I put that little fucker on my knee and I just bap. Yeah.
and you can also cold shock them. That helps a lot too. Just
That
like
I
an
never
oven.
did. Now I shocked him. He told me I could buy a taser and
What
tase him.
the heck?
And I'm telling you for a fact, go buy a $20 taser on Amazon because literally I got I think 7 or 8 flushes out of the block he sent me. But like maybe by the third flush, I was like, dang, what do I got to do to get this thing? You know, it's about time. But shiitake does what shiitake wants to do unless you tase that sucker. I tased it
Damn,
2 days
bro.
later, pop. So there you go. You got to get that taser.
Yo, if word gets back to the original culture that you're doing that, they might not fruit anymore for you.
Yeah, I would believe that shiitake, they're kind of like the cat of mushrooms. They do whatever they feel like doing. They do not care about you.
Yeah, I'll do
Oh,
everything right, and I'll still get, instead of a full flesh, I'll get 3 really huge mushrooms.
yep. Oh, literally, I had them like that big,
Yeah,
huge saucers.
they just
Yep,
they're like, okay, I'm just gonna do 3, but
yep,
you still see the resources going in though.
for sure. And they're cool. I mean, if you get a full block, looks great. So your tech, you do a basic masters mix on shiitake.
No. For
Oh, you don't?
shiitake, that's the one that's unique. I use 20% wheat bran roughly, and just oak hardwood. Because if you
Oh,
give them
really?
too many nutrients during their long incubation period of the 3 months, they'll just start pinning in the bag because they have so much
Oh.
energy. They're just like they need to burn it.
So you go way heavier on just the wood.
Yeah.
So
Even
like
if you
little
do like no
hardwood pellets.
supplementation, if you do no supplementation, it'll come out better than if you over supplement it because they'll just waste
Oh,
energy pinning in the bag. You'll see them just popping off, especially
I
if
see.
if you do everything right and then you have to move your block from like one place to another in your room, that might be enough like
Right.
tip tap
Trigger
for
it.
them to, yeah, exactly. They'll just pin.
Sensitive to movement, for sure. So that might even be when you're saying, forget about them, leave them be. Like really, don't touch them, don't wiggle them, don't look at them, don't think about them, don't walk by them.
Exactly. They need to be completely by themselves. I have them in my closet, like up top. So like the light doesn't even hit them
Mm-hmm.
and I don't touch them. Because every time I move
Interesting.
them, they pop out like 6 huge mushrooms. And I'm like, no, it's not going to fruit right because it's like
Right.
premature.
Interesting. That's good. I like that. Okay, so lion's mane. I've grown it a couple times. It needs so much air. I couldn't feed it enough air. How you give it enough FAE? Because you got gorgeous heads of lion's mane.
I would say humidity is the more important thing for
Okay.
lion's mane. Like I kind of like choking the lion's mane off a little bit and getting that fluffiness because they'll still grow, but they'll grow different. If you want
Okay.
meaty, if you want them to be like dense and meaty, you want to do the airflow. but you'll get like almost like a Hericium coralloides feel from a regular lion's mane if you limit its air a little bit, or just bask it in CO2. But in my tent, I just run the humidification coming from my supersonic mister in a bucket.
Okay.
So it's like coming out through there. So the air comes in through there, and then I have a blower that's pulling air from the bottom. And what that's doing, it's pulling all the heavier CO2 out. And so the air's coming in from the top, and it's being pulled out from the bottom. So there's like a constant circulation.
So you're just more, it's more about the air exchange and getting, evacuating the CO2 rather than, see, I was always thinking, oh, I gotta, like, can I grow these outside? Because I just kept thinking they need a lot of oxygen, but okay. I think
there's a balance, and every species is different. So because of that, some don't care about the like lesser air, some do. Some care about the CO2 touching them more than the air. Like oysters, if CO2 touches them at all, they start morphing around it, and then you get the weird looking ones. So I put them up on the top shelf. So I have my oysters on the top. I have the lion's mane and like towards the middle, because they kind of care, don't care, and they'll still look good. And then I have all my polypores at the bottom, because they don't really care that they're not getting as much fresh air.
Right.
And because they're just going to go, they're mostly going to go towards the light and where the moisture is. And so I have my shelves like this. The air's coming down and the mist is coming down like that. So they'll just grow out in that little space.
So oysters on top, because they're
and actually
they're bougie, and then lion's mane middle, and then polypores. You mean like reishi and reishi and what else?
Yeah, I'm growing a few types of reishi right now, and I'm also growing Echinoderma resinosum. That's a resinous polypore.
Okay.
And I just started growing that out, and I'm figuring out what it likes, but I don't know too much about it. I know it's heavily medicinal. I like to learn how to grow it to see if I can produce it consistently first before I really dive in, because each mushroom is a rabbit hole. If I went around and tried to learn all of them, it would just take so much of my time, and I don't have a lot of it. So I just I get in as many cultures as I can. I try to grow them, and if I like one, I like weird looking ones, I'll keep running it, and then I'll figure out what it does and go from there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so when I was studying bonsai, there's some basic principles, but every species you worked with, it behaves differently. Some back bud, some don't. Some take a pruning well, some don't. Some you can do anything to it whenever you want and it doesn't care. Others, you basically get to do one thing once a year and that's it. So it was interesting. I always enjoyed it because you never ran out of stuff to learn. And for sure in mushrooms, you never run out of stuff to learn.
Yeah, I'm growing out some Mukitake right now, and that's known for helping with fatty liver disease. Oh, okay. So I'm very happy to grow that. I got that from the Mushroom Co. LLC, I think. I want to make sure I get the name right. But it's super cool. It has this. Usually they're green and yellow, but they got this phenotype that is yellow and purple, and it kind of like cascades over the cap. It looks like cosmic. It looks super cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I love those chestnuts. I still think those look a nice. Yeah, those look amazing.
Bro, I can talk all day about chestnuts, man. There's a reason I don't grow them like constantly. They're kind of they're weird until you figure them out, but it's like a 6-week incubation with a 4-week fruiting. So it's like, okay, you make your block. It'll take 6 weeks until you can fruit it, ideally. That's when it starts like really looking gross in there. They're like starting to pen up, and they like to decorate the whole bag. It's like brown and white everywhere. Yeah. When you see that, you like cut off the air, cut the bag, and they'll pen up so well. But the finished result doesn't look as good as the like how people usually see them. Like when the caps are closed in, they have like spikiness. But when they're ready to really harvest, they're more open. They still look good. But yeah, waiting about 8 to 10 weeks to get them is typically don't just have them because they take up a lot of space, and I'm working out of a 4x4 by 7 foot tent, so I have to keep things cycling.
Yep, I hear you.
Yeah.
I got the same. I got a low ceiling in my basement and not enough room. If I had my way, this whole basement would just be filled with mushrooms. But I do not get that much real estate, so I know about cycling through stuff.
Sure. The place I was talking about that gave me the Mukitake, that's the Mushroom Shop LLC. And I'm pretty sure you guys, if you want to check it out on their Etsy, I think they have it up on there still.
Okay, cool.
It's super sick.
Let me just bump my camera. Sorry, guys. Well, we're rounding the bend here. It's been great. We're gonna have to have you back on and maybe get a little. I think we need to do like a live demo of the oven tech. I think people would be into seeing that sometime.
I was definitely down to do that. Yeah.
That's one That's one of my next segments is going to be a tech segment where we actually do some techs live and demonstrate things. So I think we're going to have you back on for that.
I'm down.
But anyway, so I'm gonna say goodbye to you for a minute.
Okay.
We're gonna do the behind the veil, and then I will bring you back in when we start talking ethics. All right.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. It's not totally goodbye yet, but goodbye for now. And we'll see you in about another half hour here.
For sure.
All right, guys. Let me pull off this overlay. There we go. All right. So Shay, he's killing it with the gourmets. I think it's really cool to see. Sometimes it's just that one little stupid grow kit that we all love to make fun of now because we think we're so great, but that's all it takes for someone to completely fall head over heels in love with growing mushrooms is just giving it a try and having that first experience, which is pretty cool. All right, well, so we're gonna bring on our next guest. This next segment, you guys know, is Behind the Veil. Tonight we're gonna do Lucid Gates. This is like a sleeper culture, man. It just absolutely fills tubs with really cool looking, really potent fruit. And my buddy James here is going to come talk to us about the origin story of it. So without further ado, and possibly with some minor audio technical difficulties we're about to find out, let me bring on James. What's up, man?
Dude, I can't get the audio.
So I hear you.
Yeah.
Can you?
I can't hear nothing.
You can't hear me.
Should I take it off the headset?
Yeah, just take it off the headset, and then let's turn on just turn on the echo cancellation.
Can you hear me like that?
Yeah, you sound great, dude. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so you can hear me now.
I have no clue.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you at all.
How about just completely turn off the earbuds? Take those off.
No, I can't hear nothing.
Hold on, guys. We're gonna get this.
That's just crazy.
Here we go, guys. We'll get this. This is gonna be worth it. Trust me. It's got James taking off the earbuds here. All right. You hear me?
It should be.
All right. I'm going to give him the classic reboot instruction here.
Still can't hear nothing. That's crazy.
All right. So we're going to reslot this. All All right, guys. The ever elusive Lucid Gates has eluded us momentarily, but we will be back. So I'm going to bring, hopefully I can bring back Shay. He might have went and took a 15-minute break, in which case, oh no, Shay's here. Okay. All right, dude. All right, so we're going to go, we're going to skip. We got a little technical difficulty. That's fine. We're going to go into ethics, guys. Mushroom ethics.
Okay, I will drop a disclaimer here.
Please, I want to hear, because you're like me. You're actually been growing a little bit longer than me, but you know we're both pretty new. But so we've been the newbie, and then now we're sort of becoming an established grower. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the ethics of the mushroom community.
So I mostly linger on Instagram, so it's not really, the chatter is different. It's like isolated onto people's profiles. It's not like Reddit where there's like almost like a town hall kind of feel. So I don't really know what ethics other people go by, but you know, stealing is stealing. You know, you should do work before you try to sell things, and you can't just flip a culture and sell it. I think this is all my opinion, by the way. I'm nobody, but when it comes to sharing, like, how do you feel about that? Because I often will just clone something and give it to a friend.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because this was a conversation that needed to happen for sure. And actually, here, I think we got James. Let's see if James is back. We'll just do the ethics right now, since we're in it. All right, let me turn this overlay off. All right.
All right, I think we got it now.
There he is. Okay,
All
perfect.
right. I had to close it out and go back in. Like right before you were gonna put me on, it just whoop,
Dude, it's
all gone.
You know, it's just a classic reboot. All right, so here's where we're at. So we're gonna just we'll do the ethics segment, and then we'll do your behind the veil segment in a minute here. But so Shay brought up, he said, well, you know, obviously stealing is stealing, and you know, just basic moral principles. But he said, well, what do you think about, you know, sharing cultures with friends? And I have been thinking about this one and have talked to people about this. Now, I'll tell you my experience in the beginning was very quickly I realized that if I grew something and created spore prints from it, I now created myself a little bit of currency and I could trade. So this is sort of, at least in the cubensis community, you'll get the newer growers who they want to trade B+ for Golden Teacher, or they want to trade, you know, Amazon for Cambodian, all the basic, you know, land race, you know, basic cubensis. And then there's a certain point where you want the cooler stuff. And I know of groups that have very small discords, and that whole point of that discord is so that maybe I go buy something for $30, but you already know I'm going to bring it into that group. I'm going to share it amongst my friends. So let's talk about that dynamic, because I already know everybody does it. Literally everybody does it. There's nobody who doesn't do it. I never found a single person who doesn't do some level of that. So we should probably talk about that. Are we being really unethical when we do that?
No, I just like you said, I mean, once you grow a culture out, it's basically yours. I mean, and you bought it, so you can do whatever you really please with it.
True enough.
You know, my ethics is as long as you keep the name, you don't change the name, you know, or at least keep it around about the same, then there shouldn't be any issues with it.
So if let's say I buy $150 culture from Mossy Creek Mushrooms. It's some fancy oyster. It's got the highest yield. He's tried them all. It's this amazing culture. Here's my thought. If I have a very tight-knit group of friends of, say, 5 mushroom growers, so I get this cool culture, I send it to Shay. Shay just grows it for himself, right? I feel like no harm, no foul on that. That's, again, I I didn't make money on it. I'm just sharing it amongst a very small, tight-knit group of friends. If at some point in time Shay then says, I got this banger culture, and he renames it and doesn't say where it comes from, then for sure that's unethical. If he, however, says, hey, I've been working with this Mossy Creek oyster strain that I got from Geeky about a year ago, and I feel it's really stable, I'm really used to it, and I now want to offer it for sale. Is that ethical? Am I allowed to do that? Like, is Mossy Creek gonna come knocking on my door going, what the F are you doing? I don't know. So James, what do you think? Because you've isolated something, and you've seen other people sell it. How, what?
Well, I mean, like I said before, the only thing that ever gets me is like a total name change.
Right. Okay.
I just feel like we should always be,
not being shifty. Yeah, you're just
right,
like
transparent. Right. Just like you said, I've been growing Geeky's oysters for a year.
Right.
I mean, it's transparency goes a long way in this community.
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
I have no issues with people taking my isolation and doing whatever they please with it.
Because, so what I'm thinking is, and Dave brought up this point, he's like, I can't keep up with orders. He's like, if I was the only one, if I could somehow make it so I was the only place you could get Jack Frost from, he's like, I'd have to buy a warehouse and exclusively grow Jack Frost just to keep up with the demand for the swabs for Jack Frost, which I can't do. So he's just like, hey man, and I think I've heard this echoed from a lot of people, is the transparency of just explain the lineage. Where did it come from? Who did you get it from? Like, maybe you don't know really the full lineage, but if you can at least say, and people do this with me, where they'll be like, hey, I just grew out this variety, I got some swabs from Geeky. Cool. And then that way, if people want to know more and that grower doesn't know more, they can contact me and say, hey, I saw, so-and-so was growing such and such out. Where'd you get it from? And then hopefully I should be able to remember that and tell them where I got it from.
Right.
Feel like if you're doing that, I don't know. I think you're good.
Well, I mean, if there was only, like, if Dave was the only one selling Jack Frost, I mean, how many people are actually going to get Jack Frost? I mean, there has to be all of us sharing all these genetics.
Right.
Just like, I feel like Facebook should be less of a private club place. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of genetics that a lot of people miss out on because it's just in this total other group that nobody knows and all this stuff, and doesn't allow new members or invite only, Yeah. I mean, a lot of people miss out on a lot of good cultures. Like, I'm banned from a lot of cultures because I'm a vendor.
We know.
I mean, pages because I'm a vendor.
Yeah.
But it's like Toque. I haven't even seen pictures of Toque. Or Toque.
Toque, yeah.
So,
you haven't even seen the pictures?
I mean, I see from some people, but no, I have not seen grows or anything like that from it.
Well, you're about to, because it's all landing
I
right
hope so.
now.
That's a good culture.
Give it a couple months, you're going to see a lot of
really
Toque.
Good culture.
You're going to get fully Toque, bro. Don't worry about that.
Well, I might have to go on Yoshi's website and get that one.
Yeah. So here's another question, and this came up before. This was a while back. I cannot remember who I was talking about this, but they basically said they thought people weren't charging enough for their cultures, and the concept was, if I get a spore swab and I germinate it and I just toss that plate and some grain and I grow it, and then I swab it and I go, here, buy some swabs, right? Like that's like a $10 swab set. I didn't do a lot of work on it, right?
Right.
It is what it is, but I should not be trying to get rich off those swabs. Like 10 max. 5 wouldn't even be crazy, because let's get real. What does a swab cost? 4 cents?
Yeah,
Costs
and depending
absolutely
on how many
nothing.
mushrooms you had in the tub,
It's
you can get
nothing
100
to
swabs out of a tub.
easily out of a shoebox. Yeah.
Yeah, the only
I mean,
thing it's
depending
just
upon the
like for
fruit.
shipping. It's just covering shipping
Right.
and making a little
Right.
bit of profit. Yeah.
How much is a postage stamp and an envelope? So you're under $1. So even if you charge $5 for something you put no work in, you're spreading the spores, right? Which is what we're all about. That's what everybody says they're about. But now, if I do a lot of work on it, if I spend a year on it, and I keep, I try to be like Dave and James, and I'm trying to really isolate something or find a characteristic I like or tweak it a little bit, and I succeed in doing that, and I've grown it out 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, like 7 generations. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
15 or $20 is, and I really think I have improved upon or made more unique a given isolation. $20 is not outrageous. I mean, dude, when Tim Pig came out with Toke at $25, I was like, wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was surprised by that as well.
I am impressed. That's not just fair. I happily gonna
Well, when
spend
I was
$25
when I
for
was
those.
vending for Tat, they did 25 for swabs. Like that's what we
Standard,
had to
yeah.
do. Standard.
Yeah, so
So him
that might
starting
be
out
where
at
it came from.
25 is pretty good.
That's true. Now,
that's
so what do
it.
you think about this idea that it's just too cheap? So I know that in commercial mushroom farming, there are some cultures you can buy from the commercial outfits that are hundreds of dollars.
Yep.
Easily. Hundreds, like $300-$400 for a little liquid culture vial. It's a lot of money, but these guys, I'm pretty sure, are literally hiring and paying scientists to do some pretty high level work just to eke out a little more yield, a little more reliability, a little more improvement in color, presentation, whatever they're trying to do. But at the end of the day, me, just a guy growing mushrooms in my basement, I don't need that culture, right?
Right.
So I'm not buying that culture. But if Shay buys that culture and I say, oh, you got that culture. Oh, I'd like to try that out. Like, is that okay for me to just try it for me? I think my response is pretty much, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a commercial interest in that.
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, it's like there's a certain line of like ownership where you start to lose track of like why we're doing this in the first place.
Right.
Because this is all about like like I said, trying to spread the message about this stuff. But there's almost like no purpose in holding on to these things for yourself. Like I can understand for some other things, but genetics that are like good, they're good. Why? Because they help people, right? Like
Right.
it elevates the experience of the user. Like why would you want to hold that back?
I like that. And at the end of the day, I mean, I really think about it like it's not. So let's take Toke as a great example, since it's a new cubensis that was just released. Super fair price. I'm pretty sure he sold an absolute lot of them, hundreds, if not thousands, of sets of them. But realistically, if you take away just the expense of growing out some tubs and swabbing them and the sticks and the mail and all that kind of stuff, they are, even at $25, hugely profitable. And he's doing a great thing, which is he thinks he's got this stabilized, and now he's putting it out there, and we're all going to just start growing the hell out of it. And it seems like a win-win.
Yeah.
If let's say he released that at $100, many people would not pay $100 for that, right? So now he's got a much smaller amount of people who are growing it and are more likely to, grow it and then give it to people, right? Like, oh, James is like, F that noise, I'm not paying $100 for swabs, but let's say Geeky's desperate, he paid the $100. I'm like, don't worry, dude, I'll grow it out and I'll get you some spores off the, first generation I grow out. So it was really a smart move being intelligent about the price point, because you're encouraging everybody to buy from the source and get everybody to participate in that process. So I bring that up because I think price point is another way you can either encourage or discourage ethical behavior in the community, particularly Cubensis community, but a little bit with commercial or just gourmet stuff. Like gourmet cultures on Etsy, different than buying from a big commercial grower. They're charging $500 for liquid culture, because they don't want you to buy it, right? They only want another commercial farm to buy it, and they're going to charge them for that. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. All right, any other ethics issues you guys want to bring up?
The price point just has to be right, or it just bottlenecks progress.
I agree.
Pretty much all I have to say about it.
There's a point where, and I don't think it's hard to figure out on your own, there's a point where the price either feels cheap or ridiculous, or, yeah, okay, that's, I don't feel guilty charging this amount of money. If you've created a absolutely novel cross that is really appealing and a lot of people want it, $25 is beyond fair, in my opinion.
Even for the foragers that find a rare phenotype in nature, that's almost priceless.
Right. Yes.
But that doesn't mean you should charge like $1,000 for it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, Jordan Jacobs went down to Jico, Mexico and Veracruz, and he brought back a bunch of mushrooms that he got prints off of, and all his prices were totally fair. I think like $25 a print for something he went to frickin' Mexico to get. Again, yeah, this is the fair pricing. I think that we'll have to keep talking some more about that idea of what's a fair range of price for swabs and prints and culture or liquid culture and all that stuff.
Yeah, if you feel like it's not fair, just don't buy it and it'll straighten itself out.
Exactly. Or it won't, or, I mean, there are vendors in the Cubensis community who charge crazy amounts of money for stuff that sometimes isn't even theirs. But they do it because they're marketing.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I seen iceberg for $100 on a website.
That is insane, dude. And not from Miss Mush.
Not from Miss Mush,
from somebody else. Not the originator of it selling it for
I also talked to somebody who had paid for that as well.
Dang.
They paid for the plate, $100.
Man.
It's outrageous.
That is nuts.
So
I have heard that.
Pricing has always been all over the map. Always been like that. Like Tat did have the right thought, but I still think like 25 is a little high for a swab. It should be like 15 or something like that.
I like 10 to 15 unless it's really special. Yeah. Then I'm cool with 15 to 25, to be honest. But I get also Tat was really trying to have unique things.
Right.
I mean, you guys were putting in that work to make it unique, and then it's basically getting vetted by all the membership, and so it was maybe a little bit on the high side sometimes, but other times I get it. I'm not even mad at you at 25. But yeah, these days, man, the market's not what it used to be, guys.
No, it's
a lot
everywhere.
Of people here now. I mean, I would love to know the numbers of, in general, like go back 30 years, how many people grew mushrooms of any sorts in their homes compared to the numbers today. Man, I bet it's nuts.
Right. I know COVID brought on a lot of new growers. I mean, I'm one of them.
I'm one of
I
them.
dove in deep during COVID.
I was mid-COVID. So Shay was early COVID. I was mid-COVID. James, you dug in during COVID. But yeah, it's a fun thing to do.
Oh
at
yeah, it
home,
was
and
as soon as COVID started. I was like, I gotta do something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went and bought a pressure cooker, all that. I didn't get a flow hood for a while until I had crazy contamination. I just was like, oh my God, if a flow hood doesn't work, then I don't know what to do. Thank God it did
You gotta
work.
do that oven tech, bro.
Right.
I'm literally. I gotta just try this oven tech. I
Bro,
gotta
can we
do
talk
it.
about this for a second? Because there's still people like in this comment section right now who still claim it doesn't work, and it doesn't go away.
Welcome to the internet.
It's so crazy. Like I know there's always going to be someone that hasn't heard about it, but this mainly started on Reddit. And I'm like, okay, I can understand there's a lot of vets on here and they're really stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
But they won't even like consider that oven tech work. So I'm like,
hey, I had the exact same thing for this is when I spent more time on Facebook. I just did not like using a still air box. And I don't need anybody telling me that's because
thing in the world.
It's the worst experience on earth. Who wants to move in utter slow motion all the time? It's terrible. It's not how I work. I got ADHD. That shit does not work. Oh, man,
they about to come for you.
It doesn't work. So anyway, I used this I got a little desktop air purifier, put a HEPA filter in it, taped a garment bag to it, and made a little positive pressure environment. I posted my first post after using it for 2 months straight, well over 1,000 transfers, 0 freaking contaminated plates, 0, none, not a single contamination. I posted a picture of the setup and I said, been doing this for 2 months. It's pretty awesome. It's under $100. So for people who don't like still air boxes, you should give this a look-see. Immediately had a bunch of old school shroomery type dudes. That doesn't work. You shouldn't be telling people to do this. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work. Well, I mean, go live in your imaginary fucking world, because in my real world that I live in, it works better than that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing I've learned about mushrooms is there's 1,000 ways to grow them.
Right. Yes.
What works for one person might not work for the other.
Yeah.
You know?
And there is something to be said for when people say it doesn't work, as long as if they just said it didn't work for me.
Right,
exactly.
Yeah, great. It doesn't work for you. That's great.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's what you mean. That's what you meant to say. It doesn't work for you. Okay. We're good now.
Yeah.
But I also get that there is a desire to stick to what you know works and want to encourage new people to do those things. But there is still a few ways to go about doing absolutely every step of this process. That's
where the whole tech thing came from.
Right.
Like this tech, that tech. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I'm going to come out with toaster tech, where like you put like a bowl, like a hollowed out bowl on top of a toaster, and you turn it on, wait for the heat to come up, and then you just like do your quick inoculations. I bet it'll work.
We're waiting for that video.
I'm going to do it.
That's the next video.
I need a toaster.
That consistently for me is I will bring anybody on this podcast if you're just doing something different and you made it work for you. Slightly Feral's 3-day grain prep. I don't have 3 days. It works for him. If you want to try it, go for it. Right? Like there's all these techs that people don't know about. And it's cool to hear other people say, I did it this way. Oh, you don't like Evan Tech? It didn't work for you? Cool. It's been working for me for well over a year. Right? Yeah. Shay, it's working for Shay. So you can't say it doesn't work. I don't know. Maybe your oven sucks. But it's working for him.
Oh, disclaimer, don't do this with a gas oven. It's just kind of dangerous since you'll be using like a lighter and stuff. I use an electric oven to do this, so I'm not saying it. I have done it in front of a gas oven, and it
You
works,
might just be explaining the whole. When people say it doesn't work, maybe they were using gas ovens. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? All right, guys. All right. Thanks for talking to me about ethics. I'm gonna say bye to Shay again, and if you need to go to bed or if you got mushrooms to get at, I won't even be mad at you. So thank you very much for being on, and like I said, we're gonna have you back on. We're gonna do Oven Tech Live.
Looking
All
forward
right,
to
dude.
it.
Take care.
See you, man.
All right. So technical difficulties fixed.
That was bad. That was
Let's
bad.
get. It's all good. It's
You know,
happened before.
I knew something would happen. I just knew it.
I also know you, and I totally believe that you thought that. All right, guys. So once again, here we go. Behind the Veil, Lucid Gates, sleeper, tub banging culture that if you don't know about, you should definitely know about. Definitely one of the great things to come out of the Tat Syndicate. Let me pull up my overlay. We're here with James Cruz. If you guys don't know, for a hot second, Shroomology was pretty much the Facebook group for growing cubes. Is there still a Shroomology?
Yeah, there is, but me and the admin got into it. Okay. I had to leave it. I did Shroomology genetics on Instagram after that. And I have the
But now you are the genetic house.
The genetic house. Yep.
Right. Well,
I mean, Shroomology was at like 13,000, and then Facebook took us down. It's horrible.
Well, I didn't have a genetic house logo, so you got a Shroomology logo here on your title card.
Yeah, I kind of just started up with the genetic house thing.
Okay. I like it. I like that name. It's good. All right, so let's just do the Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time.
You want me to pull up the pictures?
Yep. We'll get right into it.
All right. I want all of it. I want all the juicy details. All right. I'm going to pull off the overlay, guys. We're going to pull it up. Here we go.
So this was Pearly Gates I got from Michael Montgomery.
Okay.
And that was a TO swab, 2 jars to a tub. And it was like a 54 quart. I couldn't believe how stable it came out from a TO.
So wait, that's 2
quarts.
2 in quarts 54. Of spawn?
Yes.
In a 54 quart tub.
Yes. So I kind of do a low ratio when I grow. Like I only put 3 quarts to like a 64 quart tub.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how many quarts of substrate are you using?
I mean, nowadays I really don't measure it, but it's kind of like a 1-to-2 ratio type deal.
Okay.
And it helped me find out.
Your cakes aren't like 4 inches thick. Are they thinner?
No, they're thinner. They're not like psilocybin thin.
Okay.
But they are on the thinner side. Yeah.
Okay.
And
well, for those of you who don't know, that looks like you shouldn't have been able to get that kind of yield out of 2 quarts of spawn. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, I put the agar dish, the 2 quarts, and just spawned that tub. I did the same thing like when my actual cross was that tub. We'll see later on, but that was only 2 quarts as well.
So now you got swabs, or I tried Pearly Gates once. I think I got a culture of it. Does it produce spores, or was this a plate culture that you got?
No, I got swabs from Michael.
You did. Okay. So
yep.
It looks like this is, lucky step.
Yeah, it looks like a clone.
Sure.
It looks like a
real
clone.
Lucky on this one.
Yep.
However you got, whether it was tissue clone or you just got real lucky with the spores, obviously those.
Well, I did buy them as soon as he released them, so it might have been a little fresh.
Oh, okay. I mean, either way, just you you know this is a good culture.
Oh yeah, I was
This
blown away. I was blown
this
away.
is
Before this, I was just growing golden teachers and Mazatepec and stuff
okay.
like that. And one of my buddies had given me the Melmac, and I was
Hmm.
just grow. I just started growing that, and then I got the Pearly Gates.
Damn, son. Okay, these look great. Okay, let's keep going here. So you grow those. Here they are again. Is this the same tub or different tub?
That I think that's the same. Yeah, that's the same.
I can't
No,
tell.
it's not the
Okay.
same tub. No, that's a
Anyway,
different tub.
but it's another.
It's from the same swab though. I hadn't cloned
Okay.
anything yet. It
All right.
actually, it's funny though. It looked better from the spore transfer.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than when I had cloned it. Then it got all crazy big and outrageous.
All right. So here we go. So Pearly Gates, and
And
then
that is the Melmic OG.
okay.
So I got this off a buddy. His name's Rob. Shout out, Rob
Okay.
Parker. Uh,
So you're growing. You're growing these. You're growing these.
yeah. And
There's
that
another.
is actually that swab was from Mo Mata.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him. He's on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't know if I talked to him, but I recognize the name. Okay, so
Right.
this is different. Is this still Melmac or what is this?
Yeah,
Or is
that's
this
Melmac. So
okay?
it was crazy. So my friend gives me a dish. So he germinated his swab of Melmac. He gave me a dish, you know, kind of like in the back of the cabinet. He hadn't grown it yet. It wasn't what he was growing.
Okay.
It was some transfer that he had never grown. And so I grew it out and I got all these green caps and bigger mushrooms. And
Okay.
his looked all gnarly and everything, but it didn't have the green caps and everything. So I showed him that and he was like, "Oh my God, what are those?"
Nice.
So
Okay.
I started working with those more and they would just do the craziest things.
All right.
So
So
then
then, so this is where the plot thickens.
right. Yeah, that's where I got swabs from that Pearly and then that tub of Mac OG I swabbed and did the ghetto cross, man. I love it.
Many a classic cultigen has started in the old ghetto swab fashion for sure. All right, so you did the Melmac. Now, so did you do these Melmacs or were you doing these Melmacs? Or are those the same difference?
It's the same. It just had a
Okay,
little variation within the
I see.
tubs.
Okay, so what you were crossing, you like these green cap Melmacs with just tub banging Pearly Gates.
Yeah.
All right, so these they're growing out.
It's called it Pearly OG, you know.
Mm-hmm. So
And
now
then
is this the very first tub from
that's
that culture?
that is like the TO to grain,
Mm-hmm.
and then I put it in two jars and spawn that tub with 2 jars.
All right.
And then they were skinny like how the Pearly was. And then they had the green caps like the Mac OG. I was like, what the? And it was crazy how uniform this tub was.
I mean,
I
here's
couldn't
all I
believe it.
know. They look exactly like what I would guess if I never saw this. They look exactly like how I would think they would look. Now, is this literally the first generation from that cross from the ghetto cross?
Yep.
Right off the bat. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, when everybody's doing the cereal dilution, it seems like the first fruits, the F1 generation, tends to look more basic. And Ed was saying, oh, well, that's just simple Mendelian genetics. That's the dominant traits are coming out. So the cool, unique traits might get suppressed in that first generation, that first cross generation. The first fruits are going to look boring. It's not till the second or third. And Dave even said, like, F2's where all the action happens.
Right.
But a lot of times with these ghetto crosses, I mean, there's no possible way that if you go back to here, right, those I don't know if I buy that. That's just the basic change from that. The pearly gates tubs are not just going to magically turn into this, especially when you smeared a bunch of spores from these, right? It looks absolutely like, for some reason, the ghetto crosses seem to make some more magic happen sometimes in F1 right off the bat.
Right.
Seems to be the case here,
Yeah.
right? Like 100%.
Yeah, so that's that same tub with the TO swab. And there was like a little tiny albino fruit, but it was so little I couldn't eat. And another thing about emeralds is they're hollow. So like Pearly and the Melmic were solid. And then this cross come out where these fruits are hollow.
Okay.
Which I was like, what the hell?
And every once in a while, you see ones trying to be bigger, you know, kind of more like the Melmax a little bit. But generally speaking, they are all sized more like the pearly gates.
Right. Yep. And then this was F2.
Okay.
And they still have that pearly, like the long pearly look, getting the green. And there's the bearded look starting to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then so this is F3, and the tub contaminated on me and just sent wildfire. Like there was so many phenos in this. There's albinos, and this the fruit right there in the middle, sitting against the tub, is like the first lucid fruit. Like that is the start of Lucid Gates right there.
So three F generations you're at now, where what you now consider lucid.
Yeah, and like it was looking like it was stable through F2, and then I don't know if the contamination or if it was gonna do this anyways. But
We'll
I
never
think
know,
it
James. We'll never know.
I think it was the contamination, little luck and contamination. You know?
Yes.
But
Now,
yeah, so it started bruising that blue.
So one thing that you said when you talked about your buddy you got the Melmac OG from, you're like, oh, this was a plate that he had crammed in the back somewhere and he didn't touch it for a while. That little plot point I hear a lot. Where it's like, oh, this was this thing I forgot about, and then I just decided to go for it.
Well, see, I used to buy mushrooms off of him, and he didn't want me to grow.
Right. So he gave you what he thought was not going to be the cool stuff.
Right.
And it ended up
because I mean, his Melmic, you would take a gram and have the craziest visuals, man. It was like DMT. It was wild.
So at least the heavy visuals likely from the Melmac.
Yes. Yeah, and the like Pearly has this, I always say it, this euphoric feeling. Like it has the visuals, but it's more or less like a just tremendous euphoric body high. And so like Lucid Gates carries both. And a lot of the Gates stuff carries that euphoria, you know?
I'm a big fan of the euphoria.
Right.
I like that. Euphoria. I mean, who's got a problem with euphoria, right? I love euphoria. All right, so here we go. So this is theoretically the first fruit.
Yep, and I cloned that one because of the color to it. It wasn't really albino, but you know, it has a little creamish to it. And then just the beard on it went all the way down to the substrate, basically. Yep. So I wanted to try that. All of them really bearded out, but I just chose that one. And what came of it, I was so blown away. I would have never expected. Yeah, see how long and scraggly the fruits were? There's a bunch of contamination in between all those fruits. Just, I don't know.
There we
sent
go.
it wild. You know,
So
and
so you cloned this or you swabbed it or both?
I did both. I
You did both.
always do
Okay.
both.
Okay. All right. So
And
so
I'm
you're
a big fan of the dunking the swabs. That's just
mm-hmm.
what I do. I don't
I
streak. I don't do none of that. I just dunk
I
it.
am also a fan of dunking. But recently, I gotta get you to try Ed's new technique. We've been trying to figure out what to call it in the Discord. I don't know if we've settled on a name yet, but I'm telling you guys, you gotta try this. It's basically you pull a tuft of the swab, hold it with tweezers, and you literally grind it through the agar, and then just let it go at the end. So it's just like a zigzag line through it.
Right.
And what happens is little bits of the spores fall off. But instead of sitting on, and this is why the dunk method works, because instead of it just sitting on top where it can dry out, it's inside, it's trenched into the agar, and it's a nice, moist, humid condition. You pull a lot of monos that way and get dicarions that way too. Anyway,
Right. Let's see. What I
so,
do is like dig it under,
mm-hmm.
completely under the agar,
Oh
and it's
yeah,
like,
that's great.
yeah, so it has a big old flap and it's just sitting like that.
Nice.
But
But
yeah, I'll try that.
But if you guys want monos and you don't want to have to serial dilute to get your monos, it won't take you too long. Just started using this method and I already got like 3 or 4 monos just accidentally. You can just tell they grow a little bit different.
Right.
Just grab them quick, put them on a plate and check them out under the scope later and get yourself some monos, guys. All right, so let's keep going. Lucid Gates.
Right. So that is what that spore swab did.
Okay.
I didn't expect that at all. It was like pure albino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I give that to that was F3 for Lucid.
Okay.
Well,
So,
I guess it would be F2.
okay.
And so that is like doesn't have the bruising, so I didn't really follow it because it didn't have any bruising or anything like that. I cloned it though, and it's like the Lucid Clouds ISO.
Lucid
I don't know if
Clouds.
you've seen
Okay.
that one.
I have not. No.
It does like a really cloud-like stipe to it, and it doesn't really bruise much at all.
Okay.
But then you have like the real Lucid Gates, like that wants the bruise freaking black. So yeah,
Right,
so
so
this
what's
is the
this?
first clone run. I was messing with the spores to see what it did, and then this is the clone run of that one. Again, it turned to albino.
So that's the spore swab run.
Right. And then
That's the clone
that's
run.
the
Okay.
clone run.
They're honestly pretty consistent. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
you got
I
a
got
little
really,
wavier
really
caps on these, but yeah.
I got really lucky. I give that to Michael because he really stabilized that pearly gate. At least for me, I know some people have had, blobs or this and that,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, man, every time I run a swab pearly, it's pearly. What I consider pearly.
Right. Well,
You know?
so in learning this story so far, I definitely got to tip my hat off to Michael and his pearly gates because so for you guys who don't know James or haven't seen his genetics, his tubs are just, absolute party banging, standing room only tubs. And I'm of all the Gateses that he has, and I'm thinking ultimately that morphology from that pearly Gates is really a major contributing factor.
Yeah,
to
because
that.
you seen how that swab tub was.
Yeah.
It was clusters everywhere.
Yep.
And like Melmic, it was so sporadic. Sometimes I would get good tubs, and other times it would just be
I think that's just Melmac.
10 ginormous mushrooms,
Yep.
But yeah.
So now now we're getting into that beautiful bluish white caps, just the real gnarly stipes. Love this stuff.
Yep. Yeah, there's the gnarly. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I think that one right there with just like the little bit of wavy cap, super blue, super gnarly stipe is kind of, that's the look.
Right.
And then just look at these guys.
Yeah, and it's wild how blue the gills on Lucid get. They really do. I mean,
You don't
pictures
have a
never,
filter. There's no filter on this picture, guys.
no filter. Pictures never do justice ever.
Yeah, these look amazing. All right, so that's the story. I think we do have. Hold on, let me pull it up here. You also sent me some pictures
Oh
of
yeah,
somebody's grow. Whose
yeah.
grow
For
is this?
Kenzo Hutchinson
Oh,
and
Kenzo.
Becky.
Okay, cool. All right, so now these got like a little. You want to know what this vibe's like? This vibe's like some character in Dr. Seuss to me.
Well,
got
it's
like a
wild because you would think they wouldn't be able to stand,
I know. Like,
and somehow, I sent you that picture as well of it standing in the bag. Like they did a bag grow right there.
Yeah. They kind
Maybe
of
they're
use
all
each
leaning
other
on
for
each
support.
other.
Yeah.
Maybe they're all helping each other out. But either way, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, man, these look amazing. So he's just been working Lucid for a while, and these are just what.
Well, I
fairly
actually
recent grow?
sent my clone
Mm-hmm.
to Europe,
Okay.
and that he grew it in bags. And I hadn't seen Lucid in bags yet, and they swell up crazy in bags. They look really nice.
They do.
These are from Romaniac Vlad.
Okay. Yeah, I know him.
Yep, that's a homie. He does great work with Lucid. I mean, I have good tubs, but Lucid is literally the hardest one for me to get a full tub of.
Okay.
And he gets these crazy tubs every time. I don't know how he does it, but I love it. I'd rather everyone else get a full tub than me. I love seeing shit like this.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's Europe, man. Maybe there's just some.
Well, he is actually he only.
Is this Vlad or whose is this?
This is Vlad's. He lives in
Okay.
Michigan as well.
Okay, Vlad's. Okay.
Not
Kenzo. But
yeah, like that 100-quart tub.
I know, dude.
That blew me away, man. He's a great grower. Now this is Michael Montgomery's Lucid tub.
Okay.
And I mean, just pack house. It's crazy.
I like it.
And that was like my initial. That's what I wanted out of this cross when I did the Pearly and the Melmic. And I had gotten the emeralds and I played with those for a while. And they gave me a lot of different things. Like I have so many different ISOs from emeralds.
So now emeralds came later?
No, emeralds was first.
So emeralds was that first. Let me pull it back. Let me
the green caps.
Yes, let me go back here. Boom, boom.
So that's the Melmic OG.
Sorry, hold on. It was so tiny I couldn't tell. Oh, here we go. So is this more like in the emerald?
Yeah, that is emeralds. That's
okay.
Like that's what I ended up calling emeralds because it had such a green cap to it,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And
so you got Lucid Gates. Emeralds are sort of the precursor.
Right. Yeah, I finally got my big old white Melmic, albino Melmic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
And
cool.
then
it kind of reminds me a little bit of Shakti. It's a little more stable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more stable than Shakti for sure.
Shakti does some crazy stuff, man. That's a
in
sweet
that
culture.
vein.
I've had a hard time with that one. I just think I don't have the patience for it. I talk to a lot of people and they say Shakti like almost false flushes. Like it'll throw a bunch of stuff that won't really go anywhere for a while, and then all of a sudden a bunch just pop up.
Yeah, I had this. I have also not been hugely successful. I just actually got cultures from a friend from Wisconsin who's been hugely successful with it, and then she hadn't been working it for a while, so I'm resurrecting her old cultures. We'll see how that goes. But then other people kill with it, and I honestly think maybe it's me, but I also think maybe it's just one person germinates a better genetic than the other person, and that's just how it works out.
Yeah,
Just
Shakti
don't
and
know.
Ape are my worst enemies. They hate me.
Yeah, I don't
That's
grow a
why I
lot of
did
ape,
so
but I
much
do all
work
right
with
with it.
Tat Black Cat. Because
I
Tat Black Cat
accidentally
for
got
me
black cat.
is that's like apes. That thing hits
Yeah.
so hard, man.
Oh yeah.
I took 1.5 grams and I was tripping balls.
Yeah. It's potent for sure.
I couldn't believe it. I took some. I was gonna cook some breakfast.
Hmm.
I couldn't even get breakfast done. It
Yeah.
was wild. I had to go sit in my bed and trip out.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, okay. So you got Emerald, you got Lucid. What else? What other stuff do you got right now?
Halo. That's my Halo Gates is my new cross.
Is the new one
That's
cool?
Tat Black Cap and Emerald Gates.
All right, we'll have to have you back on. We'll have to talk about that. I ain't got no pictures of that one, dude.
No. And
But
also,
well,
Emeralds gave me. Out of a spore grow, I cloned this real light cream colored mushroom, and it gave me the clone grows all different kinds of colored mushrooms. They all look like
oh,
emerald body.
I think I saw a tub of
Like
those.
on the genetic house, that's my cover photo.
Mm-hmm.
That one, it, only the clone grows that. You know, you go to
Interesting.
Spore, you'll get the colors and everything, but it's not the whole thing.
It's not the same.
I don't know how it did it or why it does it. Like I said, I've gotten definitely lucky on this journey.
Well, I mean, you create the luck. You're doing a lot of things right. I do find it interesting that you run really low higher ratio. You know, you're using less spawn.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
it
just
seems
found that smaller cultures are never gonna get huge.
right.
No matter how much nutrients you put into them or water, they're only gonna get a certain size. So
Right.
I really found that out with Tat Black Cap. I would run 4 jars into a tub and it would just be all blobbed out, growing upside down, all this
Right.
crazy shit. And I was like, man, what the hell is going on? But I would see it would pin like cottage cheese surface. I mean, it would
Right.
just the whole surface was thin. So I'm like, well, obviously it has more than enough of whatever it needs. And so I knocked it back and I put 2 jars in a 54 quart or 64, and it went tremendous. It was all normal Tat Black Cat mushrooms, and then I went and did 100 quart tub with it, with only 5 quarts, and it was tremendous, full canopy.
Maybe I don't know if apes fit into this category, but some of those slower growers, like Yeti and Tat Black Caps, and some of those Ghost, I wonder if not running way more sub isn't a smart idea anyway. Just because I wonder if sometimes I've had grows where I'm like, okay, these were underwhelming. Maybe it just ran out of water, man. Maybe it just didn't have enough juice in the
Right.
sub to keep
Yeah, I
going. Who
mean, yeah, I
knows?
tried 2 jars with Lucid. They were like this big mushroom.
Right.
They stalled out. It was a full canopy, but it
Uh-huh.
stalled out. So,
Yeah.
Lucid's a bigger culture, so of course I put more jars in there.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of the little cultures don't really need to be packed full of grain, or colonized. But that's just
That's
what
an
I
interesting
found out.
experiment. Like if you're working a variety that you want success with, and you just feel you're not getting it, it might be worth running multiple ratios and.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. Is every culture I feel like has its perfect ratio.
Oh, for sure. I think you're
You know.
right. I remember, I forget if it was PDX or who it was, but he had a post one day of just some tremendous chonkers. And I asked him what ratio he was running, and he was like 6-1. I was like, God damn it, it's just like
Well, that's
putting
why.
one grain in the middle and just letting it go to town.
Right.
But yeah, I mean they're 90% water, so if you run out of water, they ain't getting no bigger.
Right. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
how
if
it
you're
is.
running the tub and you see where it it has a bunch of pins, but they always stall out, or it grows like blobbish,
Mm-hmm.
that means it needs less nutrients.
I think you're 100% right on that. I
You know?
think it got
Like I even
too
told
nudie.
Yoshi about that because him and Tim were having little issues with Tap Black Cat
Mm-hmm.
because
Oh yeah,
it
it's not. It
it's
doesn't
one
play
of the
well with
most pain
others
in
for
the ass
sure.
cultures
Yes.
around. Thank you, Dave. I love
Yeah.
Tap Black Cat though.
Yeah.
That's why I did the cross with Emerald, and that cross is crazy. Lando Montez, he just posted a grow of it. I was blown away. He just posted that today on Wombat Labs and the
Nice.
Genetic House. So,
Cool, man. Well, you are on Instagram. You are on Facebook. I think I got you linked. And
and
I'm
you got
assuming
me to
if
go to Discord.
and I finally got you to go to Discord. So if you guys are interested in checking out some Lucid Gates or Emerald Gates or the new Halo Gates, is that what you're calling it?
Yes.
Halo Gates. Um, just hit him up on Instagram, Facebook. You can go to he's on my Roundtable Swap Meet Discord as well. And I'm assuming you can hook people up. You got it, right? You got stuff. You
Oh
don't
yeah,
run out
yeah.
of it. Yeah, you got it.
Got
Okay.
the Gates pack.
There you go. Gates pack. All right. What's a Gates pack? Set me back.
Pearly Gates, Emerald,
Mm-hmm.
Lucid,
Nice.
Albino Emeralds, and Halo.
Sounds like a good pack.
Oh
That
yeah.
pack will. And then somebody just said he's waiting for your Bill Gates. Bill Gates will be the next one, guys.
Right.
All right,
Somebody's got
man.
to make a bill mushroom.
That's
I'll
what we just
cross it.
need. You just need it where the cap is only one-sided. Yeah.
There we go. I know Dave probably has one of those.
Oh, I'm sure between you and Dave, you guys will have Bill Gates out in no time. Yes. All right, dude. Well, thanks for coming. That was cool to learn about that. I am definitely gonna have to bang out some Lucid here in the near future. Thanks for coming on. We'll have
Thanks
you
for
back.
having me.
We'll talk about some Halo next time and whatever else you want to talk about. Maybe we'll just have you on talk about. Maybe we'll just have you on for Grower Spotlight and we'll just talk about growing in general.
Yeah, I'm always down.
Cool, man. All right. Thanks again. Talk to you later.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. All right, guys. Let me pull off this thing here. All right, James Cruz, founder of Shroomology, isolator and crosser of Lucid Gates and Emerald Gates and all the good Gateses except for Bill Gates. It's cool to get all the just hear the process, right? You know, ghetto cross. It's got to work. A lot of cool stuff's come from doing ghetto crosses, so there's no way it doesn't work. I'm still a serial diluter, I think, but I might have to get a little ghetto here soon. Speaking of doing way too many serial dilutions, let's pull my buddy Ed in here. So, guys, it's time for deep science. Some crazy alien mushrooms. I need to get a theme song for this section. We'll do that someday. All right. Without further ado, let's welcome back in our ongoing segment on fungal barcoding. Ed Gran, what's up, man?
Hello, everybody.
All right, what is it? 10:30 a.m. in Bangkok, Thailand. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right, it's the morning. All the little mini motorcycles are out zooming around.
Oh, yeah. Traffic here. Yeah. My friend just sent me a link. We have like 10 times the pollution of the safe level. Like they're basically telling people
Awesome.
not to go outside. Like, don't let your children go outside. Don't let old people go outside. Like, it's like, wow.
Well, that's like
I'll
living
stay
in
in
Los
here.
Angeles. I used to
It
get
might be
that too.
worse.
Yeah, it was always
might be
like,
worse.
bad air warnings,
Oh
bad air
yeah.
warnings all the time.
It rained yesterday and it looked like kind of like, I don't know, when you wash the car, you know, and you see that stuff go down in the sewer, like it looked like that, like from the sky.
Yeah. Nice. That's a reassuring situation for sure.
Yeah, I'll stay in here. Stay with my mushrooms.
Yeah. All right. So we've been getting into, trying to lay some groundwork for doing some DNA barcoding of mushrooms. Why ITS is great for species identification. Why LSU, SSU are great for like higher taxons of identification, not necessarily at species level. But now we're going to get into, once you have done the extraction, done the amplification, done your gel electrophoresis, okay, cool, I got some DNA in there, I can send it out to somewhere to get it sequenced. Once you get your sequences back and your chromatograms back, if you and I are on the same page, we're going to now talk about what we do with it.
Yep, exactly. So assuming that you either have your own, let's not call them chromatograms, let's call them text files, because that's probably what you're going to get. So as soon as you get back your sequences, they'll send you 2 files. One will be a .abi, which is a chromatogram. I believe that's still the sequence, it's the chromatogram file. That's the one with all the colors in it, and that is not really mostly used. That's like kind of just a double check. So what you're going to do is end up with a text file, which is literally going to be letters. So you can get that from the company, or you can go and double check it and make sure they did it right, but there's probably a good chance they did. Or you can download it from GenBank, or you can get it from a friend, or you can get it from a paper, or I believe in Mega now, mine wasn't working quite properly, but you can just pull it straight from the Mega 11 program. Like it'll automatically go. Yeah, mine wasn't working. It said, oops, something is a problem, but you can just go to a web-based interface and just pull out a FASTA file. So FASTA is the .fasta or .fsa or FST or something like that. That's just a text file. It's literally like ACGs and Ts like you would send on your phone. It's a very small file, and it's very sort of discrete data. It's an A, it's a G, it's a C, it's a T. Chromatograms, there can be some ambiguity, and I don't want to really get into that now. Maybe we should stick with, let's just say you got a clean sequence and you've got it either from your own sequences or you got it from GenBank.
Right. So now that's worth saying to everybody. We've been talking about this idea that you're going to extract your own DNA, but you can do a huge amount of this work without ever touching a gel, without ever extracting DNA. You can literally mine GenBank for available sequences and do some real science with it.
That's exactly what I'm going to show them right now. In 10 minutes, literally, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. As soon as you turn the screen over to me, I'm ready to go, bro.
Oh, the screen is yours.
Is it?
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay, so if I pull up, so
Mega,
right?
Go to present. Well, yeah, if you have the software up, now you're also going to have to go to the screen share.
Okay.
Under
Video
present.
File, share screen. Okay, got it.
And so you won't, when you start working in the program, you won't see yourself, but we'll hear you, and it'll be all good.
It says share system share. Oh, window.
Yeah, so then once you go into share screen, you can either do a Chrome
screen.
You can do Chrome tab, you can do any window, so that might be what you want. The window should have the program Mega under it.
That's
and that'll be the best if that's what you're trying to.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Can you see my Mega interface?
Not yet.
Yes, I think it's starting to do it.
Oh, hold on. What is this?
Yeah, I've never done this with you before. I'm used to this Zoom crap, you know, and it just resized the window also. Uh-oh.
See, we're just so dependent on technology. We just assumed it was going to work perfectly.
Yeah, and locally, mine, I did it literally like you guys out there. You can literally, once you get used to this, pull down hundreds of sequences in like a half hour.
Yeah.
Like what I'm about to hopefully show you guys, I did literally in like 10 minutes last night. I pulled out a Paniolus, Stropharia, Daconia, Psilocybe, and a few other ones in like 10 minutes. So
So
unfortunately, can you
I'm
see my
trying to.
mega interface or?
I don't get why I can't see it. I feel like so. Are you on? Do you see the StreamYard screen right now, or do you see the Mega
Yeah,
screen?
it says
Go to the Mega.
It says StreamYard is sharing a window, and then when I go to the mega screen, I see on my local thing, it's still got the StreamYard window, and it says down at the bottom, StreamYard is sharing a window.
Dang it!
But it's
What are
weird
we
when I
doing
went
wrong?
to present, it said when I went to present in the window, the entire screen, it wouldn't let me do that. Like it won't let the share button. Now my air conditioner's leaking on my computer.
Yeah, don't. I would have just done the
StreamYard.
window.
Maybe is anything looking different?
Yes.
Tell me when you can see my mega screen, the molecular. It's red and white.
So right now I see just your browser. I see your like your web browser for some reason.
Okay, if I go down, can you see my desktop?
Nope. I don't know what you grabbed. You must have grabbed specifically the browser and not Mega. So do it again. Just get out of there. We'll remove it. I'll take it completely off.
Stop screen, man. My windows are getting all present. Okay, so if I go present,
We're doing this in real time, guys.
share screen. Yeah, we maybe we should have
This is
tried
all
this
plot
before.
just to show you that this is going to take longer than doing this
Okay,
massive
entire
photogenic
screen.
tree.
How about now? Let's see. Can you see my mega?
Yes. Did it.
Okay.
You did
Awesome.
it.
Dude, I was screwing up. I forgot to highlight the window that I was trying to share.
Okay.
My bad. And now I'm sorry, my air conditioner, they came to do the Freon the other day. Now it's freaking leaking on my computer.
It works too good now.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. It dropped the
too
temperature
well.
like 2 degrees, and they also like jacked in my grow room. They jacked the temperature down to like 20 degrees Celsius, which is like 50. No, it's not that cold, but okay. So you guys see my mega
Yep.
red and white.
So by the
window?
way, you guys, you can download this software for free on a Mac or a PC. It's literally free.
Yeah, It takes a
Everything
little.
we're talking about is free.
It takes a little, like a second, a minute to download, but because it's quite a big thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, free, completely free for Macs and for PCs. So okay, guys, I'm gonna go through this fairly quick because we're kind of limited for time, and to be honest, it'll take you a while, like when you get a new program, to like sort out the buttons.
Yeah.
It's actually remarkably user-friendly. Believe me, 20 years ago, this shit would have taken you hours and days for somebody else to literally sit and like show you what to do.
Right.
I'm going to show you in like 5 minutes, and I'm going to just go through it, and I'll let you like ask questions later maybe,
Sure.
because if we stop at every button, it's going to take
Just
like
do it.
4 hours.
Just do it.
Okay,
People
here you
can
go, guys.
rewind and fast forward and pause. It's all
Okay,
good.
can you guys see my NCBI homepage?
Yes, and this is the blast
Okay.
page.
This is the blast page. What?
Yep.
Just straight up NCBI. So I'm going to type
Yep.
in here psilocybe. Search, and this is where, like I told you, I downloaded a bunch of sequences in a text file already just in case.
Yep.
I'm running the internet through my phone, so you see here, see directly, can you see where it says transcription, elongation factor, etc., etc., etc.?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go in a little bit more specific and write ITS. Because at this point, there are like millions, you can see over there. Can you see my cursor?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Okay, this is working great now. Okay, right there, see that? ITS,
Yep.
go down here. And again, it's going to depend on your local computer, to be honest, but what we've done here basically, now this is, yeah, again, I'm probably going to have to maybe put something more specific. There's so much data available on GenBank now
Yeah.
that you basically, so you're going to end up with something that looks like this. This is a panniolus. You see this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Panniolus cyanescence. What you're going to do here, there's 3 different types of interfaces. What you're going to do is literally go here. This is in the FASTA format.
So you're
See that
clicking
little
on that
button
little
there?
GenBank
Yeah,
link.
it'll
Okay.
pop up like this. I was messing with it. It'll pop up right here, and you want to hit FASTA. So this
Okay.
is just,
FASTA. I see it.
yeah. So once you hit that, you go here and literally copy and paste. Control C. Remember that, guys? Control C.
Yep.
Close that window, go to your Mega, and literally open this and go to Align. Edit, build alignment. Right? Blah, blah, blah. Answer other questions. Create new alignment.
new
I'm going to
one,
do
yeah.
this fast. I'm going to do this fast, you guys. You can look at the YouTube
DNA.
video later.
Yep.
Okay, open my window there. Control V. Bam. I am now a phylogeneticist. Okay, I'm
Done.
going to go back to my...
You
guys,
actually
I
are,
gotta...
but yes, I know what you're saying.
Yes. See here where it says run blast?
Mm-hmm.
Hit that button. Now I'll go back here and see if anything popped up from my, see I had a ovoidal cystidia. So there's a lot of different ways to get to the same thing. Now you guys can see this, you see where it says here, I'm going to click on download. No, I'm not. Maybe you're going to have to play with this, you guys. They've changed it a lot throughout the years. But you see here, the easiest way is to get to the original, see where it says FASTA, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
I'm going to go to the actual link right there. This is what's called an accession number. This is probably the easiest way to do it. And again, there's ways you can automatically download. See where it says FASTA there? I want FASTA because I don't want these numbers at the beginning. See the 161, 121?
Yeah,
I don't want
you
those.
don't want... Okay.
FASTA strips out all those numbers. Don't use those. It'll fuck up the whole thing. Sorry. Can we swear now?
Slate.
Control
Swear.
Control C. Control C, you guys. I don't know how to copy it other than Control C. Go back. Control V. So I'm in my Mega now. Control V. Bam. Now I got my second sequence. Okay, so I keep doing this again and again, and I put this into a Word document. So I'm going to go in here. See, I got Deconia. And I'm going to literally scroll down. Control C. Go back to my Omega window. Bam. Control V. Look at me. I now have 10. I'm going to delete this one. That was the, so there you just go delete.
Yep.
I believe.
And so
You might-
now
you might
these
have-
are just all those so you just stole, just blatantly, Ed. You just stole
I just did
all
about, I did like 6 months worth of work in like 2
Right.
minutes.
Right.
So here, delete. Some things are with the mouse click. Some are the old school Control C, Control V. Some are from the menus. This program's been around for a while. So what the fuck am I gonna do with this? Okay, you said I can swear, right? So notice that when you get the FASTA files, it also brings all that data with it. So you don't have to retype names, et cetera, et cetera. But let me
Okay,
just,
cool.
we're only interested in the names here. So when I go up here, data, okay, no, let me close that a little bit here. Make it smaller. I go back to my original thing here. This is alignment. Edit, build
So now you're
alignment.
that was like a separate window, so now you're in a new window. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I you guys are gonna have to figure this out to like.
It's okay.
It's gonna literally take like 6 hours if I keep explaining everything here. You guys
It's all good.
I'm sure the people on Discord are very, very like creative kind of like computer people, right? So. You guys will have to play with it. I can't figure out video games, but let's see. Again, I'm still even. So I'm just gonna open this one because I did it already and for time here.
Okay.
So analyze. No, not protein. And I can explain that later, but just say no for now. So this is the data I just opened. It's the same data set from last night. Essentially, I added a few more things. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go here and you are, again, going to look at this and let's see if I can do this. Go align. Let's see, where is my little muscle? These windows, you guys, I don't know, they get messy over time. Where's my little muscle thing? Alignment. There we go. So again, these windows kind of pop back and forth. See this little muscle thing, the little bicep curl?
Yeah.
Okay, I actually aligned this already, but let's do this. Let's put that align DNA and then select all. So it's like idiot proof. It says select all. Okay. Okay. There's a bunch of crap there that you can ask the phylogeneticist about. So now what you have, remember just briefly, you were talking about 5.8S earlier. See in the middle, see where my cursor bar is down there?
Yep.
See where we have these ends? This is where we get problems.
Yep.
Because that Deconica, which for you guys that don't know has been split off from Psilocybe, Deconica mainly is the non-bluing Psilocybes. Unfortunately, I think it's also Semilanceata, which is the type species for Psilocybe, so it's a bit of a problem. We can talk about that later.
Oh, so it just got real messy.
Yeah, let's
fast.
not go there.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
not go there, man. Let's really not go there. So the ends, they're a problem. This is missing data. All the 5.8S, we were talking about, see how it's conserved here? See all of those. So we've got Psilocybe, Deconica, Stropharia, Paniolus. I think there's an Agaricus I threw in there. No, maybe not. So we got Alani, Subrugiosa, Chuxionsa, blah, 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 Ovoidocystiata, whatever.
All the good stuff.
The middle stuff is the 5.8S. So look at my cursor at the, sorry, I'm getting excited here, but yeah, my students got me fired up. See, here's problems at the beginning. So if I'm going to go up here, I'm just going to delete all this stuff, and I'm going to just write delete.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I move over here to the other end. This is ITS2. This is the tail end. I go up here. I highlight all this stuff. Delete. Okay. Go back to the middle. See, you're like playing God. Now you see right there that G down there? That's in a Paniolus, right?
Okay.
You might expect some difference in the 5.8S region. Notice I'm right here. Remember, it's ITS1, 5.8S, ITS2. The Paniolus, which is clearly a different genus, there's a G and a C. All the other Psilocybes, it's a C or a G in the opposite order. So this is, again, this is pretty deep. I just want to show you the mechanics of this. So, like, literally, if I want to add a new sequence, I go back here. I go back to GenBank. If I find my window, go back to GenBank, and where did I do my blast? There we go. So no items. Okay, let's ignore that for a second. Let's do another one. Let's say I want to put in an Agaricus. Agaricus. If I can spell right. ITS. Hopefully it'll pop up the ITS. GenBank is slow, you guys, because it's like you're literally querying like billions, trillions, and trillions of letters, and for some reason it's not really like cooperating right now. It's all about search terms, you know. It's like when you do a Google on a different computer, etc., etc., you're gonna get so here's another cool thing. Let me try this here. Okay, so I've got this sequence copied. Let me just grab 3 or 4 lines of this. Control C. So this is Ovoidiocystidiata. Let me go here. Put it in here. That's an accession number. Control V. Go down here. Hit blast. I'm going to show results in a new window. Blast. This is going to take several seconds, probably minutes, depending on my mobile phone signal. It'll update. See how it's here, updating. So this is, I mean, keep in mind while you're waiting for this, this is like years of somebody else's work. So you see right here, this is where you get these homology things, or what they call a percent identity. And I don't know why this window keeps popping up again and again and again. You guys, sometimes when you hit a button and then it's like a delay. So here's Cerulescence. Here we go. Let's pull this up. So I go over here. Let me just pull this up real quick. I don't know why that window keeps popping up on my computer. You guys know technique. So here we go. FASTA. Remember, hit FASTA. There's all your information if you want to know where it came from, etc., etc. That's called an accession number. The real important number is this number right there. KX35. That's a unique. Yes, it's called an accession number. That's a unique identity.
That's assigned through the blast, through GenBank?
When you submit a sequence, it will automatically generate. Control C. Go back to, you have no choice. I'm back in here, Control V. See how that's all messed up? So I just put in my, so go up here, align, muscle. Align DNA. Oops, I want to select all. So again, that's a Control A, right? You guys remember Control A from back in the day? Control All, select all. Again, I don't know how it works on Macs.
So back in
see
the
here
day, this was probably a massive process.
Oh, this would have
Aligning
taken
the
literally,
stuff.
what I just did in 5 minutes would have taken weeks, like
Yeah.
literally weeks of computer power. Like I would do what we just did in literally like 30 seconds. I pushed that muscle button. That would have taken a computer
Right.
when I did my PhD 24 hours. Like
Jesus.
literally, you would have pressed that button and now I'm popping back and forth. That would have taken literally 24 hours. Now, here's the cool thing before we get distracted again. See how this is messed up?
Right.
Hide that, delete, problem solved. Now you see, you guys, watch this. What I can also do, I can delete that. So I don't really like that Paniola sequence. I've just played God. So what I want to emphasize, you guys, is that these things, I hate to say it, there's the undo button. I was looking for it yesterday. The old sequence programs didn't have an undo button either. So you were continually literally saving your sequences like every 3 minutes. Like every time you pushed a new button, you would save a new sequence. So you would end up with this series of files after files after files. You guys, this is where you need to worry because this is what people do, researchers. So you see the little dot up there? That means they're all homologous. They're the same. Right. So when you see the no dots up there, that means there's some difference. Those are what we call phylogenetically informative. So in the human world, these would be called SMP, single nucleotide polymorphisms. So this right here, this is an SMP. This is a single nucleotide polymorphism. So when they do 23andMe and et cetera, and they talk about SMPs, this is where we get fingerprints from.
Okay.
Okay, so this is one version of a fingerprint. There's a bunch other that we'll talk about, I'm sure, later. If you want to know what makes Paniolus different from psilocybe, well, that's it right there. That T. That's what makes one of the things. Now, if you go through the rest of the sequence, you'll clearly see there's a CAC and there's a G, and it gets all messed up. That's the ITS1. Now, if I go over here to 5.8S, right here, if you ignore those N's, yeah, conserved. Exactly. Good word.
Totally
conserved. 100% homologous. If you only had that data from a conserved region, you would make the conclusion that psilocybe, Paniolus, Daconica, as well as Stropharia are the same frickin' genus.
Right. So that's that point you kept making with me, which is depending upon where you're looking, skews your perception of. You have to know how to look at the right places and know where to look to be remotely able to draw any of those conclusions.
Yep, exactly. That is a perfect segue to exactly what you just said. Conservation versus. So when I go over here to the ITS2 region, you see I start getting some weird things.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a whole other discussion. I've also chopped off, if I want to be like really neat and I want to have good bootstrap value, delete. No problems. So if I'm presenting a paper and I want to make a new genus, well, maybe I like that part. I like that, but it's missing in there. So if I want to make, the N word, if I want to make Natalensis different, I can say, look. It's got it. No, let's not go there. Anyway, I want to show you one really, really cool thing, you guys, and this is gonna blow your freaking mind, man.
So do researchers delete the stuff? Like, do
hell
they
yeah.
fudge the stuff?
Oh hell yeah, dude. That's the hobby of graduate students.
Oh my god.
That's why you have to submit this to GenBank, because there was so many fictitious trees being created.
Wow.
That people were like, I need to see the original tree. And some publications now even you have to put the so I'll show you another thing you can fudge. Let me show you another thing. So I make sure my alignment's right. Okay, because who knows? It only takes 3 seconds now. Before it used to take like 24 hours. So yeah, that progress bar that used to just sit there for literally sometimes I'd go home, come back the next morning, be like, all right, ready to go. And then you're like, oh, It's still progressing, still
Still
processing.
2 hours.
Yeah, like I'll go get breakfast and a coffee or whatever, and then come back in like 2 hours, and maybe it won't. So make sure it's aligned because again, look, I can go in here and I can edit. So let's say I don't like that T. Delete. Oh, look, let's say I don't know how you can shift things. I don't like that sequence. See what's that done? It shifted the whole thing.
Right.
So if you just shift a single nucleotide one way or another, this is where we get problems with this kind of stuff, right? These spaces. Right. Now look up here in psilocybe alani on senescence. Now, should there be an A there? Yes, I think there should.
Yes, there should be, but there's not, or
yep.
The sequence
and
isn't
look
good,
at me.
Right?
Look at me. I'm God. Now alani and cyanescence, which are probably synonymous.
Right.
Look, I'm God. Yes, this happens all the freaking time.
Wow. So realistically, though, just to play, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I should, however, be able to, assuming I know what I'm doing, run a sequence of that same thing against the, like, so if I'm trying to do some real research, I would take submitted GenBank sequences, but ideally I would try to source this material as well, run my own sequences against them, right, to see if we're in the same ballpark. Right or no?
You're getting into a lot of like 50 different ethical questions there.
Okay.
You can do what you want in the paper that has your name on it.
Right. Okay.
If you want, it's kind of like naming cultigens, like, you know, you can name it after whatever you want.
Right. This is the mycology version of naming cultigens. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what is this tree? Now this is based on
tree that. So those sequences right there that I have pulled up in that window, wherever it went to, that window and those that I've filed at .mas, I don't know, that's a mega alignment something, I don't know. Anyway, go back to your original mega window here, and this is all like, I am still completely freaking fascinated by this. You got to look around for your files, but there it is, podcast1.mas. Simple buttons, go up here, phylogeny. Construct here's where you get into other problems. ML, maximum likelihood. It's a statistical algorithm that is based on like years and years and years of research on parsimony and all kinds of other stuff that we don't. So these things are again like another whole like graduate level like course. What is UPGMA? What is maximum likelihood? NJ or neighbor joining? ME, Bayesian analysis. These buttons, I press it here and like everything looks cool and I get a tree and you see all that stuff. I'm not going to ignore that. Tamura Nye model, I don't know. Who knows what? Oh yeah, look. Chimera, Juke Scanner. Let's just not do that. Okay. Let's type okay. And I get a tree. Now, there's different ways you can do this tree. If you look up here, traditional, rectangular, straight, yeah. So you might have seen, I think, Alan, he published something that looked like, see the bottom part of this tree here?
Right.
Like you've probably seen something. So again, you go in and you delete, edit sequences. You can stretch these out. You can chop the names off. There's other like ways to basically, you can make trees that are what we call unrooted or like circles. And I haven't figured out how to zoom
I've seen
in
that, yeah.
Yeah, there's some way to zoom in and zoom out. I don't know. I haven't figured I don't really like those kind of trees, to be honest. These are the kind of trees, the one that I just showed you, the traditional, curved, rectangular, however you want to do it. It depends on the publication again. So sorry, you guys. Let me take a breath. You guys, this isn't that hard to do. It's really, really, really easy to do. All you do, download the free program, get in there, and you
just play.
Will be amazed. Play. If you can learn how to like, you know, make a new avatar for your video game, this is like 50 times easier.
Yeah.
Like, this is like way, way, way easier. And I hate to say it, it also makes me a bit sad because what I just showed you guys how to do in like 30 minutes is what I spent 4 years doing that to get my goddamn
Right.
letters. So
I
like literally you're working all those numbers like probably represent lots of tears and pain and DNA sequencing and failed PCRs and shitty chromatograms and all kinds of
yeah.
stuff. And then we just
So
sit here and
so
like,
you've
yeah,
turned
let me make
into
a
the
phylogeny.
Yeah, you've turned into the old man who's like, you don't know how good you got it. When I was young,
Exactly,
I
man.
had to. Yeah,
Look at all this shit. Fuck,
yeah,
what is this? Ancestors, fight diversity. What is this? Distance. Why you guys all? I hate you.
yeah,
Look, look, look. All this stuff pairwise that you can get like bootstrap values and statistics. And you kids. Look at all this crap, man. Look, you can even
yeah.
convert it, like translate it into amino acids, etc. We don't. So that's a good point. Oh, look, let's hit that real quick. So when
Hit
we
it.
talked about those conserved sequences, the ITS is not conserved. And the reason why the other parts are conserved is because they are for the 5.8S region, which is a exon. I don't know what happened to the colors, but
Okay.
when you have an exon, you are going to let me pull it. Where did the color? There they go. There's so many windows, man. You'll get like crazy windows. So when I look here in the center, this is a 5.8. This is a conserved region, like you said. Ignore that. You know, I don't like that sequence. Ha! Bye bye, Deconica. So we still got another Deconica, which again, you guys is the non-bluing psilocybes. So that looks really, really pretty, and I like that. And again, if you wanted to like publish that data right there,
Yeah, why
you could
not?
like, you could synonymize, as they call it, all of those genera. Not only
Mm-hmm.
that, all those species. Here's the problem. If you're trying to use this region for species, it's obviously not going to work, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. What is there? About 10 species there.
Right.
They're exactly the same sequence.
All the same.
Here's right. So this is why we use the ITS1, the ITS2, and the 5.8S. Because in the middle, you see if you're dealing with this, especially before, and you didn't have one of these programs, how would you align this is the
Dude, that's what
problem.
I was thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a mess. So when you used to have to go back, like right here, for instance, you would say, well, like, I don't really like this. Let me just put an AAT there, right? And then I'll
Yeah.
delete this. And now, oh, that's okay. Like, but you have now just made cyanescence synonymous with cubensis, right?
Right.
You can't
Yeah.
do that.
So
It's a little
so
more
these
complicated.
spaces, these little gaps, so like in the screen here, the white sections, all that software has done is found the patterns. So are those little white spots with the dots, are those
Yeah.
just taking, was there supposed to be something there? Or are they just shifting the sequences around to line up with other parts of the other sequences?
So two questions. The program is doing it simply because in the other sequences it sees an A, and
Mm-hmm.
flanking that it sees a CT and then a TA. So the reason why it would put a space there because it assumes that that's a deletion.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, it may not be. Here's the problem. If you go there and you
Right.
physically delete that, the rest of see how everything shifts? See
Yeah,
when I
that's just,
undo that?
yeah,
So
it's
that's
totally
what the
screwed up.
program is. Yeah, this is called neighbor joining. It's a version in what it's called cladistics where like you try to put so these are what are called character states. This T and this A and this C are what are called character states. Now this would be similar to like bats and insects. They both fly, but we know they shouldn't go together. But if I just
Right.
looked at these C's, I would say, oh yeah, flying. Flying is a character state. C, put them together. Well,
Right.
the problem is then you get to other characteristics and you see, well, this one has an A, but this doesn't have anything, and the next one's a T and a T. So you have to assume that that T is not an A and that T is not an A, so you put a gap. A deletion is what it's called.
Okay.
Now, there's other things where you might see what would be called an insertion. There's about 6 other reasons that this might be just a simple program error, or it might be something in the actual chromatogram. This is where you need to go back to the chromatogram,
I
and
was
if you
gonna
look
say
at
you
the
would have to look at the chromatogram.
exactly,
You would
this
have
is why
to.
you, yep, because if you see this and you're gonna make a significant conclusion based on the fact there's a deletion there, There. Now, see, this is probably okay because we have cyanescence and alinei, and maybe if you threw in a azurescens, you'd see that. And we know that morphologically they're very similar, so you're probably like okay with that, right?
Right.
Now, if it was some new species, you would for sure want to go back and look at the chromatogram and make damn sure that's not an A.
Right.
Right? If that's an A and you're going to say it's a deletion, then you're going to make a conclusion that's based on false data.
Right. So, and then the other problem is if I am mining GenBank for these sequences and I have these gaps, these problems, and I can't look at the chromatogram,
You don't have any choice.
I mean, then I can't use it, right? Like I would have to be able in order to.
Depends how many sequences you got of that particular taxon.
I see.
So taxon is a generic name for a species, a variety, as anything. It's like cultigen. It's
right.
A taxon. These are all taxons, regardless of what you want to call them. If you had only one sequence of alinei and you were publishing a paper, you probably don't want to throw it out.
Right.
If you've got one sequence of cyanescence and you're publishing a paper to show that alinei, those are the wavy caps, you guys, if you don't know these names. Alinei, cyanescence, azurescens, they're all the wavy caps. You probably don't want to throw it out. And if you don't have another sequence, especially if you're a graduate school student trying to publish papers, like if you've only got one sequence of our favorite buddy down here, Natalensis, you're probably not going to throw it out.
Right.
So all that discussion we've been, remember, Mushroom Observer? We have one sequence of Natalensis available to us at this current time.
Right.
So you might not going to probably throw it out.
Ed, that's why I keep saying we got to go to Africa, dude.
I know. Oh, I don't know. I got a friend from South Africa. He doesn't sound like it's a very good place to go.
Great. Well,
He's like, he lives here in Thailand. He's like, never, ever, ever go there. You'll get killed.
What? I have a buddy who did a movie down there recently. He said it was awesome. I mean, he was, he was in the city, but...
Yeah, and he's got how many hundreds of thousands? I'm sure he's got dudes with AK-47 sitting at the hotel lobby too.
Maybe, I don't know.
Like, I don't know, as like two random white guys running around the Natal region in South Africa. He said it was probably not a great idea.
Okay. All right.
Unless
well, then our buddy that we were talking to on Facebook, he's going to have to do the reconnaissance for us.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? We'll get what a GoFundMe is that what we got to do.
There you go. Yep. GoFundMe.
Anyway, does anybody, I haven't been looking at the chat. Let me stop sharing here if I can. I don't know. There'll be a crap load of, let me hit the right button. Stop screen. Here we go.
There we go.
Back to the
I
real
think
world.
This was good because for one, it showed it doesn't take a lot of time if you know what you're doing. I definitely, I have been playing with it. It works better on my PC than it does my Mac. If you guys have a Mac, it is a little glitchy. Simple, weird little glitches. I don't know why it does what it does, but the PC's way better.
It's like 1,000 times better than 20 years ago. That's obvious, but
right. But yeah, we just start playing with it, and then get comfortable finding the sequences on GenBank, getting used to it, so that when you get to the point where you're trying to learn how to DNA sequence and you blast things, you can go, okay, so I found this white oyster mushroom in my backyard. I sequenced it, and I can blast that against what it finds on GenBank, and I can go, oh, look, there's 8,400% matches. Then I probably figured out what it was.
Yeah, I did an Amanita muscaria last night, and there was like over 12,000 matches, I think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, some of them will be 100%, and there will be an entire page of 100% matches. So
and you're pretty certain at that point.
It makes identification pretty easy at that point. But then now it creates, this is what you were talking about. That situation then, if you sequence something and you blast it and you don't get any matches, then it's easy for you to falsely get excited of going, holy shit, I got a new mushroom. And you probably don't.
guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to call anybody out, but I see people on Instagram claiming they found undocumented new species.
A lot.
I'm sorry if it's not on GenBank, that does not necessarily mean it's a new species.
That's what I was trying to say, yeah.
People have been studying fungi for thousands, at least let's say documented fungi for hundreds of years. Because it's not on the most recent search of GenBank does not mean it's a new species. It's
Correct.
probably in a book. There's a guy, Sicardo, who published a lot of the molds and the moldy stuff that we might get as contaminants.
Right.
He published these things like hundreds of years ago. And so if you get a new like gray thing growing on your agar plate, it may be not a new species, probably not. Like just because you sequence it and it's not popping up in GenBank, that it's like if you go to the dollar store and you don't see a Louis Vuitton bag, that doesn't mean Louis Vuitton bags don't exist. Right? Like,
unfortunately, they do.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think that's important to highlight because it's easy to get, very excited about this technology and what you can do. It's very cool. But that skewing of perspective of, well, look, I found some mushrooms on my forage, and look, I could so concretely and certainly say I know what it is because so many things matched 100% or 99.7%. And so, okay, and it looked, and then I went and I looked at the iNaturalist. It looks exactly like it for all intents and purposes. I identified it. So then that moment when you run something and it's just not there, and you're like, that human reaction of, oh my God, does that mean I just found a new species? It, like you're saying, good chance it doesn't mean that.
That being said, that opens the door to you having to find out what it is. Okay,
Right.
because this is a learning opportunity, because even myself, when I used to get back sequences, I understand that excitement for sure.
Yeah.
But when you open up the sequence and you run that alignment, sorry, there's like water dripping down from my air conditioner. It's about to go on my computer. When you get that alignment back and you're like, oh, it's just another Lentinus tigrinus, and you're like, oh, I'm kind of sad. But then you realize, like, well, why did I think it was different? Like, and then you go back and you look at the fruit body and you say, like, what? There's something here. And remember, ITS is not the be all end all. So if I have a sequence that matches to a species, maybe it's a variety in the normal mushroom world, like Amanita muscaria, variety alba, variety formosa, flavoalbicans, et cetera, et cetera. There's about 20 different varieties. You might have a new variety. Again, just because the ITS sequence is the same, we probably shouldn't get in that today, but the ITS sequence, depending on the particular species or taxon or whatever, could be the same. It could be very different. Right. Especially in the ITS 1 and 2 regions. Like, there is a lot of stuff going on there, and as we talked about, introns, extrons, conserved, variable before, like, things are not like 100% all the time. Like, there's a lot of an opinion. If you're trying to publish a new paper and you think you found a new species, well, fuck yeah, right? Like, go for it. Put your name on it. Publish it. And even if it gets synonymized, or like, they synonymy, like these people that publish new names, and it's really just Pleurotus ostriatus. I saw another one yesterday. A guy had hybridized Nephrodensis or whatever with an ostriatus. It's like, dude, that's the same species. Right. Like the same stuff we're doing with the cubes, they're still doing it in like the Pleurotus and stuff, and they're like, I made an interspecific hybrid. It's like, no, you didn't. Shut up. I stay out of the Pleurotus world, man. Those people are cutthroat, vicious. They'll kick you off of Facebook groups in a second, man.
Yeah, that's the real...
I want to go down, man. Don't mess with the edible people.
Yeah.
Trad Cotter or whatever, come after your ass. I don't know. I don't even know who the guy is. I just hear his name. What's the
I've
Mossy
been
Creek
trying to get
guy?
him on. I have not got a response from him yet, but yeah,
Oh, I think he's
he's
busy,
fun.
man. He does like
Yeah,
tons of substrate and shit. He's got like semi trucks full of like
yeah,
soybean hulls, whatever. It's like,
yeah.
what the fuck, dude? You like
I
gonna
hear ya.
feed the world?
So now, what about you brought up something to me? Founders. What was it called?
Oh, the
Found.
founder effect. Yeah, the
Yeah,
founder effect.
that's
It's
kind
not
of a
like
cool concept to talk
Yeah, it's
about.
not like some old white dude from the
Right.
1700s. This is like it means when a new species goes to a new geographic area. So it's what's called a genetic bottleneck. So it's kind of what happens in like Appalachia and like what happens to my
Mm-hmm.
mom family. Like everybody breeds like literally my the family where like my mom is from a little tiny crack in the mountains somewhere in
Mm-hmm.
Appalachia, and I went and saw her like 150 people that live on the like little crack in the mountain. They all look like my mom and my uncles, and it's like, wow, I'm really glad my dad met you at the pool hall at the big road, because like
Right.
these people are all like inbred. So
Right.
there is what's called that's essentially the founder effect. So if you were in Appalachia and you rolled down, you know, like all like a Deliverance style, you rolled up to get gas somewhere and you see a very select group of people who have probably been breeding with each other for a very long time. They might have distinctive characteristics. So it's
Right.
like the other classic example, Darwin's finches. So you isolate
Okay.
things and then they diverge naturally. So this is where ITS and the variable regions really come into play and can help to differentiate populations. Problem is the ITS sequence, it's only like 700 or 800 bases, right? So it's not a lot of information to
Right.
go on. So that's like not a lot for, when you're doing like comparing like birds to bats and elephants, you can't really use it. It's too messy. And you saw there even with the psilocybes, right? They start to get really messy to where you can't see a pattern. So, so yeah, the founder effect is just that. It's like a bottleneck in the so for species like Natalensis or maybe like Odisha, Orissa,
Mm-hmm.
India, or one of these other, even like the ovoids and things like that. Like Azurescens is supposed to be Pacific Northwest, but Alinei occurs down in San Francisco. Now, that's West Coast, right? Like, if you want to call them
Right.
different things, you can, but I wouldn't be real certain about that. And then you've got cyanescence, and then you've got the other things that pop out every once in a while. They're probably all cyanescence. And then you get back into the problem of names. Like, just because somebody made
Right.
up a name Azurescens, like, you still got to call it cyanescence. So in reality, there is no such thing as Alinei or Azurescens. They should all be called cyanescents. And then you start
Right.
saying the cyanescence complex. But if you ask somebody in San Francisco what that wood loving thing is that grows and they get, buzz off of, they're going to call it probably a cyanescence. I don't know. Alinei. I don't know. Because, people like their branding.
But I mean, that's interesting. The idea, I when you told me about that founder effect, I was like, oh, that's really true. Now, it wouldn't have to be true. You could have a splinter of a species go somewhere else or get dropped somewhere else, and if so, for example, like we're getting these invasive insect species now because we're
Hmm.
importing all this stuff from China, and it maybe has one worm in it or one bug in it, and now all of a sudden we're screwed. So sometimes a small population of a species can get like spread out somewhere else and it fits in real well and it does fine and it can keep breeding and all that kind of stuff, and maybe the environment doesn't have a massive effect, right? Founder's effect doesn't always have to happen. Is that correct?
No, not at all. This is what's called biogeography and
Right.
sometimes even more specifically island biogeography. So they have to model, there's different ways of talking about. Like if you look at an island that had one single introduction and never anything else, that's easy to model. So you
Right.
can go
Right.
with molecular clocks, you can go with species divergence, you can go with radiation, species radiation. So
And do
one
the math.
species. Yeah, that's like kind of more
Right.
probabilistic kind of stuff, Now, if you say an island like Hawaii that's had multiple introductions again and
Right.
again and again, you've got introductions from the mainland, you've got introductions from
Right.
China, from Japan, from Polynesia, from all over the place. Now, Hawaii, you can't really call that an island anymore. Especially
Right.
when, probably 100 flights go there on and off the plate, especially
Right.
a day. Especially if you're talking about things like insects and pathogens and fungus and bacteria. Like, this is not really an
Yeah.
island anymore, right?
So you don't get the founder's effect there the same
No,
way
you
that
wouldn't.
you would, like, maybe going way back where, during the Ice Age there was a land bridge that allowed
Yeah,
species to
yeah,
come into an
exactly.
island, and then the
Yeah,
Ice Age goes away. Now they're trapped there, and there's no new.
that's
Right, I get that.
perfect example. Australia. Australia is a
Oh,
perfect
right, yeah,
example. That is Australia is kind of like the epitome of like island biogeography. Like, where
right.
the hell are... But then you got funny things like, why are possums, like marsupials, also in Michigan? And why are there, like, weird things like, I don't know, down in South America, there's a few marsupials, they're like, they got left over. I
Right.
guess,
Who
that's
knows?
another 5, 6 PhDs. I'll let you handle that. One of the
Right.
listeners can go after that. A bigger, closer to home example would be salamanders. So if you have salamanders in Appalachia and we have, say, a river or a ravine or a desert that separates them because of maybe they built a hydroelectric plant. Like, so the
Okay.
species of fish above and below the hydroelectric dam are going to be different. And given enough time, they will differentiate themselves. Cichlids in
I see.
Africa, there's a lot of the cichlid populations. Like, you'll go from one lake to another lake, like, say, 10 or 20 kilometers away, and there'll be 100 different species of cichlids. And that's because at some point in the past, maybe the whole area flooded and they mixed, but then they've
I
become
see.
separated by literally a physical barrier, like a fish. They don't jump between a
Right.
20-kilometer well lake. So
They're
that, so
stuck in
they,
their
we call it,
pond.
yeah, exactly. We call it island biology. So it could be my mom's family, could be salamanders, could be Australia, could be fish.
Right. Your mom's
And
family,
we,
that crack was just tight enough
exactly.
that it
Thank
kept them
God
in
they,
there and it kept
They
people
made
out.
the big road. They made the big road. That's when my
Right.
dad came through and was playing pool. That's literally my mom's romantic story about how she met my dad. She's like, I don't know, I was with my workers at the pencil factory and we got drunk and I was playing pool. And then basically I went and, beeped your dad. It's like, oh, that's romantic.
Hilarious.
That's probably
I
how
mean,
we're 50% of us probably got here the same way.
everybody
It
beat
wasn't like,
somebody.
oh, we went on a cruise and we were sitting on the sun deck and your dad came up and said I was the most beautiful woman in the world. No, no, you're both drunk playing
Right.
pool and
Yep.
I was made.
Yep. When I triage, there are days where everybody that
Triage
comes
or
in,
menage a trois or triage?
no, triage at the hospital, right? Triaging, assessing
I
how
know.
sick or not sick these people are. And there will be days where everybody's birthday is like the end of September, beginning of October. And I finally was like, what is this? Like, I would have October 1st through October 8th birthdays in like 20 in a row. So I looked it up and come to find out that the end of September, beginning of October is the greatest density of birthdays, because if you work backwards, that's like all the hookups like during the holidays, like from Christmas to New
Yep.
Year's. So we're all like New
Totally.
Year's hookups, right? That holiday hooking up.
I
So
know.
anyway,
It's good.
yep,
It's good that we make a lot of new sperm every day and
we
like
sure do.
hope. I don't think sperm get drunk, do they? I don't know.
No, they are on a mission. A lot of disappointed ones for most of us, though.
Yeah. No, see, get your A2C or your B120C out and check your motility.
Yeah,
For you guys out there that are bored of looking for monokaryons,
that's what you do.
you can check your motility. It's pretty fun. At 400x, it's really kind of fascinating. Most of them
I
are going to
ain't.
be dead, don't worry. There's
Yep.
like 80% of them are dead. They're the ones that'll be like the kind of like swimming around and like they're obviously not going to work. But like 20, you only need like one, really, right?
I'm just gonna go ahead and say
Yeah.
Where is it? That scope. I am never going to do that to that scope. Ever.
I had the same microbiology teacher who told me I could steal agar plates to grow mushrooms. He also made one of our group, there was 3 in a group, he made one of us go stick a cotton swab up our butt. And I wasn't luckily the one who did it. There was another frat guy who was like, yeah, I'll stick stuff up my butt.
Of course he will.
I do it all the time. And he went and swabbed, and of course we wanted to look for E. coli, right?
Sure.
And God,
You found
oh
it.
yeah, it was like the jokes never stopped, and they were like, "Whoa, wow, look how much you got! Like, where did you shower?" It just went on for hours. But yeah, you can find all kinds of cool stuff under the microscope, not just monokaryons.
It's true. I mean, even same for all the sequencing. It doesn't have to be. You were saying that who was it? The person like pigs or something, or boars, or
yeah,
pigs. And they were just searching. Yeah, you can.
Oh yeah.
You can go
Oh,
crazy.
get into the flower stuff. Oh my gosh, if you want to know like asters, the DYCs, the damn yellow composites, like like we have LBMs, little brown mushrooms. The flower people have what are called DYCs, damn yellow composites. The composites are the sunflowers, or now they're called asters. There are like hundreds of thousands. Like that sequence file that I just had like 20 in. Like if you do a blast search, you can sit all day, all night for the rest of your life. And remember, every day people add like new sequences. So like you can go on to like they'll send you like a message on your phone, like a new sequence has been added, that kind of stuff. Like
I am not
a
getting those
notification.
notifications. No.
No. Like you just got a new aster notification, from the Facebook Aster group or whatever. Oh my God.
Do you ever think about that? I do that all the time where I'm just like, so I'm pretty hardcore about mushrooms, but there are the orchid people. There's the everything people. The what?
Moss and the bryophyte people, the mosses. Those people are insane. I dated a girl who studied mosses once, and like she was a freak, like in many different ways. Like you think like the tatted up girl wearing the ripped nylons at the concert, she's a freak. Now find a moss girl,
the
or
moss
fern
girl. See, this is the real stuff, Ed.
You can start swabbing all kinds of stuff.
No, we want to know about who it's the moss girls. Okay.
They're freaks, man. There'll be like 20 of them standing in a corner at some other plant conference. And then people will be like, I want to study roses. I want to study petunias. And then you find those moss girls over in the corner. Those are the freaks.
Wow. That's going to be a YouTube short right there.
Be swap. You won't need the microscope to like check your motility.
Oh my God.
In vivo.
Moss. I wonder why that is. I would never guess
I don't
moss.
know. Well, see, here we sit.
Guess roses. God no.
Like, do people think you're normal or me? Do you think like we're acting like we're all normal? Like, yeah, I just dedicate like 90% of my day to fucking growing one species of mushrooms. I spend thousands of dollars on shit that nobody knows what it is, and they're just like, my landlord came 2 days ago, supposedly to fix the air conditioner. I just got like stuff all over. I didn't even bother to say anything. He's just like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like an FF. It's just scalpels. He probably saw the like number 7 scalpels and like, oh, he's a psycho. But I got like buck knives just because I like knives. Like, it's just a mess. Like, he didn't even ask questions. He's just like, yeah, whatever.
They don't care.
I don't want to know.
He's like, this guy pays his rent.
I don't. Exactly.
This white guy pays his rent. That's all I care
I
about.
pay my rent, and my neighbor moved out, so he's probably like gonna like be like, "Hey, do you want?" Oh God, don't even tempt me. I got a same place next door with the same setup. It's like I could have 2 farms. That'll be the gourmet farm.
You think he cares about your grow setup? He's probably gone through all your neighbors, and you don't even know it's there, man.
Oh,
my buddies in LA, they lived in this nice little loft setup, And then one day I was going over there to jam with him, and there's just cops everywhere. And so I walk in, and the 2 units next to theirs was a massive illegal weed grow. This was like this is a while ago, but like we had no clue. We had absolutely no clue. Anyway, they leave and we like go through there, and I mean it was big money, like a serious grow, but just in 2 lofts.
Yeah,
It's like you just
you know,
never
as
know.
long as
You don't know what's going on.
just don't get the face tattoos, and they'll usually leave you alone.
Yeah, that's the secret. It's the secret. I'm
Oh,
close.
but I would love you guys if you guys out there have any questions, like I haven't been watching the comments or anything, they're kind of distracting. If you guys out there have any questions, get on the Discord and like send them to me. I
Yeah.
would love to go into more detail about this. I'm sorry I rushed through there, but I get pretty excited sometimes.
No,
And,
well, it was good just to see how relatively simple it is. I mean, so you also kind of like know all the psilocybe names to pull in and stuff like that.
yeah.
But still, there's nothing that should be keeping anybody who's remotely interested in this from just going to the site, playing around with it. There's a million YouTube tutorials on it. A lot of thick Indian accents, but as long as you can kind
Yeah.
of get through it, those are good videos. They will really, and they'll go into some of the pull down menus and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. To be honest, I'm not really, there's so much stuff in those menus now.
yeah,
So when you go to that, when you do that blast thing and it gives you the results, that's where you start looking through all the names. And you can actually learn a lot of stuff just by looking at those names. You'll be like, oh, what is Chuxiongensis? I never heard of that. Like here, I'm looking at it right now. I see, oh, Hopi. Like, I don't know what that is. And there's a Thai duplido dos, blah, blah, whatever. That's actually a synonym, to be honest. But you'll see that. I've seen it before. And then you see a bunch of Cubensis subaeruginosis. You start to learn, and what is this, Mescaleroensis, something like that. There's a bunch of stuff in there that you'll just figure out, like, and these names, they'll get more familiar with you, and it'll make you more fluent in having discussions. Like the albino emerald gates, it's funny that James was talking about that because I'm gonna go make like substrate cakes with the pearly gates. I have this beautiful spawn. One of my friends got what did he call it? The Gates pack or whatever. Not the Bill Gates. He got one of those and he shared with me. So I was listening intently while I was making up some other cakes.
wow,
too.
man, James's Gates packs are getting all the way to Bangkok. Damn.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. They
Nice.
love them here. They love them. And I haven't seen any fruits yet, but like a guy I know, they also love the other people too. But you know, it's a little, they're good at marketing here. And yeah. So like when they get everything here, it just takes a month or two. So, oh, that's the other thing. If you guys want some of my stuff, you got to be a little patient. It'll take you 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get it. It will get it, and I'll send extras. So don't worry too much. But I had a guy in Bangkok who ordered here, and it's literally like I could have like delivered it to his door, and he sent me like 4 messages about the tracking number. It's like, dude, can you wait like another 12 hours? And then after he sent like the 4th message, he sent me another message to say, oh, I just got it. Like, dude, so I had to go find the dang receipt, get the tracking number, send you an email, and this went on for like 4 hours, and then he's finally like, oh, I just got it. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Can you not like ODHD, whatever, OCD too much? So you guys, if you do order from me, guaranteed I'll send some extras. Look, I got a whole big bag of extras. Woo! Some
Ed just
good
keeps
stuff.
Sending me stuff, but every other like every week I get another happy Thailand New Year card from them. They're great.
To be honest, like when I get swabs in packs of 10s, and I usually check one of them, which means I only have 9 left. So that extra one goes in a bag. So that's like a freebie for whoever orders a print. And the thing with the pricing, you know, I would love to like give them out like for $10, but I gotta go, like the post here is a kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest. like in all the international shipping and all that. So it's kind of just, it's not like the spores are actually expensive. It's just the simple
It's
fact
the
that I gotta
process,
spend
yeah.
like, yeah, man, packing stuff up.
Yeah.
It's not just like you just chuck off an email. You got to get an envelope, label it, print the label, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's
Yeah.
like manual labor, you know?
Well, you open one of my sterilizers up, you know how much work that when I get done
I
building them, and then I'm like,
I
oh
know.
fuck, I gotta box this thing up now, and that's a whole
Same
nother part of it.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's the worst part. It's like the least exciting part. It's like now I'm a
It is the
secretary,
least exciting
basically.
part.
Yeah, it's like time to find
me,
the
though-
Bluetooth and find the printer and print out labels
Yeah.
and tape and.
Yeah, it's not
I
fun.
think.
But you
this-
wanted to
what
get there,
assistant-
so what are you gonna do?
Yeah. But when people do order, I'm literally like within 24, usually 48 hours. Sometimes the post office, they have a absurd amount of holidays here, like Chinese holidays, Buddhist holidays, Christian holidays, national holidays,
Everyone.
Kids Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, King's Day,
Kwanzaa.
Queen's Day. No Kwanzaa yet. No Jewish
Kwanzaa
holidays
there?
that I'm
Okay.
aware of. Nah, not a lot of Jews or Kwanzaa celebrators here.
I think Kwanzaa's
Except
an
for me, I don't know,
African
maybe. I don't know.
holiday, but that's
Something
you
like
haven't
that.
been in America in a long time, Ed. I'll forgive you for not knowing.
We'll go celebrate it in South Africa when we
Yeah. We're
right
just
before we
getting
get
oozy.
we get kidnapped. Well, we can convince the kidnappers. We'll be like, no, we're really like we sell stuff. Like, let us go back to make more money. We'll
I'm not, I
send
don't
it
know
to
why
your
I don't. That
we'll
doesn't
send
even
it to your
faze me.
account. Nah,
You just get an
Maybe-
Uzi.
well-
Find someone with an Uzi and just walk around with them. We'll be fine, dude.
well,
Trust me.
well.
I went to
my
Bogota,
South-
Colombia, like 30 years ago, and I was supposed to only be there for a day. I worked for this cargo airline in Detroit, and I ended up getting stuck there a couple days. And yeah, we just rode around in an open Jeep with two dudes had Uzis. One guy on one side held their Uzi out to the left. The other guy held his Uzi out to the right. Nobody fucked with us. It was fine.
Yeah.
That's all we get. Just get an Uzi. We'll be good. Just Uzi
Yeah,
hunting
I normally-
for...
We're literally
Mushrooms.
hunting for mushrooms.
What are you guys doing in
yeah, I
South
don't
Africa
know.
with your Uzis? We're just looking for tiny little cute mushrooms, guys.
Yeah, and we'll tell that to the security when they come back to the airport. So yeah, I've seen a lot of those like airport security shows. What did they have to say when you walk back from Bogota? Like, I was just in Bogota for like a day or two, and some guy gave me a suitcase to carry. I don't know what's in it.
Right. Yeah,
When they-
has that even ever really happened? I don't know.
I
feel like
see
it
it on
hasn't.
the airport security things all the time. It's usually.
They've done studies that basically proves TSA is completely worthless.
Oh yeah, well this was back in like
So
the
dumb.
80s and 90s, I think, when like Miami Vice era,
Before
when
we
people
knew
used
anything.
yeah, like when flight attendants always had like 220-kilo bags and like no clothes
Yeah.
in them.
Ooh,
Gee, why?
Raptor Grow just said he's got family in Sinaloa, and I'm kind of sketch on mushroom hunting there. I hear you, dude. I was when I was in nursing school. I'm not gonna get too specific, but one of the wives of a very famous Sinaloa singer. I guess all the Sinaloa cartel loved the singer. His wife was in nursing school with me, and I went to a get-together with them, and I was like, okay, I know what these people do. It's not good things, I can tell you that. It is not good.
Yeah, occasionally you get
We are
those
not
people
going to
inquiring.
cartel country, I can tell you that. We're
No,
never doing that.
God, no. We got
No.
a like distributed network. I don't think we're.
Give me South Africa with an Uzi any day.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, once you can tell immediately the tone of people that contact you, like what they're in this kind of thing for, and it's like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna talk to you anymore. Like, I don't really like. You don't want to just like grow a mono tub. You're in a different business than this.
Right. Yes.
And yeah, those are like
Cool,
there's
man.
A lot of
Well,
those dudes.
So, yeah, Gates Packs in Bangkok. That's awesome.
Yeah,
and then
they
you,
look.
I
The
don't know.
spawn looks great.
I don't know what I don't know what level. What are we? Okay. Oh, I forgot. I was gonna do this real quick. Hold on. Before we go, I'm gonna do this real quick.
Was what's his name gonna what's his name? Mycrodex Shay, was he gonna come back? I forgot.
We did that for the ethics section.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I was in
and
the
I think
kitchen.
he
I was
left
kind of...
his thing on just so it could upload. But here, so one of the brothers of one of my mods, who also is in, we have a little small growing club on the Discord that Ed's sort of the leader of, and so he wanted another one of your crosses. Unofficially, yes. I mean, we're so far all our crosses are coming from you, so you're sort of the leader. Anyway, so dude, he asked for I think it was a Shakti, where is it? Shakti MVP, I think, cross that you did, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that one. And Ed just got spores off of an iceberg fruit that I'm pretty excited about getting as well. And then he goes, is he going to cross it? And then he goes, does he know how to cultivate without crossing first? Because that seems like it's step 3 for him. And then he goes, step 1, germinate spores. Step 2, isolate mono. Step 3, cross monos after breakfast but before 9 o'clock meeting. Step 4, fruit a new species of mushroom on Tuesday. And then he goes, he probably doesn't even eat regular foods. Peanut butter and jelly, chicken and pot pie, ham and burger. Just slapping ingredients together in the kitchen with no shirt on, talking on YouTube about it.
That is like scarily accurate. That is like almost like there's only like 2 parts of that are not right. Like I don't have jelly, but I do a lot of nuts, but they're almonds, and yeah, that's pretty much describes a day. And I crossed. I got a little story about my MVP. It wouldn't fruit, and I tried fruiting it like 3 times before I realized it was a frickin' monokaryon.
Yeah.
And that is one where I did a bunch of crosses, and I fruited the crosses before I ever saw what MVP looked like.
Of course.
And I was like, that's
'Cause
interesting,
that's what you
but
do.
it was. Yeah, I had to go back to the original spore print, and I'm like, what the heck? It was a really tiny little swab, and I only got 1 mono. And like you were saying, that technique with the... Some people have come up with some
Gets
colorful
monos
names.
really well, yeah.
Yeah, you could just off
really
the center.
does.
Like you said, if you see something that looks weird right dead center in one of the cracks, pull it.
Yep.
And if in worst case scenario, you can mate it with itself later. So here's a good test for monos, you guys. If you have 2 monos of the same cultigen and you don't see clamps, i.e. they're monos, if you put them together, they should immediately mate with each other. Right? So there you have verified. That's like an extra level. If two spores like mate with each other and you see clamps at the interface, now you got a dikaryon. Now you know, keep those original 2 monokaryons because they are definitely compatible and they're definitely not contamination. Yep. If they mate with themselves, and I don't even want to get into that mating allele thing, you guys, the incompatibility of 2 spores, even from the same cultigen, is not something you need to worry about. Look up schizophilum mating types or mating alleles, and it'll immediately like shut down that whole thing about, well, bipolar. I'm sorry, I don't want to. I saw a YouTube. It doesn't matter. Bipolar, tetrapolar, unifactorial, bifactorial. That conversation needs to stop. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. This, you guys, just anytime, and if you hear, I'm sorry again, but if you hear somebody start talking about pheromones, like ignore it. Just ignore it. I know this is gonna piss some people off out there. Anything about pheromones and mating alleles for a standard, like even somebody breeding, you can pretty much ignore it. So I don't want to get the problem with
I can't do anything with it anyway.
The problem with mating alleles is you're talking about the meiotic products from a single basidium. When you have it gets messy real quick, and I don't really want to get into it. But for the average breeder, you guys, this is why, again, the ghetto swab thing, what is it called? Double swab. It works great. And I'm about to go back to it too. After all this talk about mono breeding, I'm going to try just doing some ghetto cross smash, whatever things. Like, it's just fun. It's
Yeah.
just fun. After
Smear 'em
doing this
together.
mono thing, yeah, after doing this mono thing for like the last year or so, 6 months,
Mhm.
whatever, 8 months, um, it gets tedious. If you
And
just
it
want to
and it
smash, like,
it escalates quickly.
yeah, I
Yeah.
found a PE mono the other day, and I almost wish I wouldn't have found it because now I have like 12 more crosses
Right, of course.
sitting there, and I didn't want to do PE because a lot of people have done it, but I have a slightly different version of PE, not the
Hmm.
homestead, and that it's
So
like
you gotta do
another
it.
PE, and like I got to do it now. It's like, oh my
Now
gosh,
you
now I
gotta
just
do it.
created another like 5 years of work.
Yeah.
F1s, F2s.
Well,
If
we're
you do the
helping you
math,
out. We're
I know.
we're
Thank
we're
you
getting you
guys.
a little further. We'll see how it all goes.
I hope so.
But Ed, I'm gonna tell you the last thing he said about you was, I wonder if Ed crosses the street twice just to go next door. I was
Wow.
like, bro, you are on a roll right now about Ed and his crosses. I was like, we need like a Ed Cross T-shirt,
I
something
know.
like that.
Oh, I know. I need to think about merch and stuff. I don't know. I'm not very
Merch,
creative. I know
merch.
everybody loves merch and stickers. I found a pile of those stickers you sent the other day. It's like, wow, these are really neat stickers. I need to like put them up.
You need to do
Like
something with them.
really, really cool stickers. But yeah,
Of course, me now, my flow hood hat is literally multiple layers of stickers on the side of it. That because of where it's at now, I really never see it anymore. I kind of saw it where it used to
uh,
be at, so now I'm like, okay, I gotta start putting stickers somewhere else, I guess. What are you gonna do?
I'll put them on your kids' walls. They'll love that. They'll be like, hey,
Oh
look,
yeah,
stickers. Kids love
they got it
kids and
everywhere.
mushroom growers love
Yeah,
stickers.
my daughter wanted to put the rainbow ghost on her Pinewood Derby car, and my wife was like, no. And I was like, do you really think somebody is going to recognize that at a freaking Cub Scout meeting, dude? Come on.
Uh,
And
yeah,
if they do,
probably
it's
not.
going to be okay anyway. You don't, it's
Exactly.
okay. Trust me.
That's it.
Anyway.
Exactly. It's kind of you would know they were down if they recognized it.
It wouldn't matter. That's my whole thing. If somebody said, what if somebody at work watches this? I said, cool. Then we have some more stuff to talk about at work now.
Yeah. You
It's
can
all
just
good.
casually mention FAE and monotubs one day and see if anybody perks up. Be like, hey, look at that
Oh,
monotub.
Oh,
That's
we talk about shrooms almost every day at work. It comes up. We just talk
yeah,
about it.
I'm
It's
getting to
all
the
good.
point now to where everybody that they have limited usually interest. It usually lasts about 3 minutes and then I move
Yep.
on to like
Yep. Exactly.
something
5
else
minute
because
talk and then next topic.
yeah, and they don't like what we just talked. They're not usually interested in downloading GenBank sequences and like doing blast searches or tetrapolar mating systems. I would love it if they were,
Right.
but
No, they
I
will
had to
not.
beg a guy. I had some CKB LC, like I got a whole like quart jar of it, and I'm like, dude, I'll give this to you. Can you just like go on YouTube and figure out how to use it? Like I don't need that much like CKB liquid culture, and I can't
Right.
ship it. I was just doing a demo, for somebody, and now I got like, a fucking half-liter of it. It's like I don't need this. It's gonna just sit there. And I'm like, dude, just go on YouTube, please, 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 just figure out how to cook rice. Oh yeah, who was just saying? Was it
Whitebeard.
Shay?
Oh, Shay.
Somebody was talking about cooking grain, about how, oh yeah, the cooking thing. I literally, one of my students, I had a like 10-minute conversation, an Asian guy, about how to cook rice yesterday. And it's like quite funny. It's like me, the old white dude, telling a
Hmm.
like 18-year-old Asian guy how to cook rice.
Dude,
It's
it's
like,
like,
oh, the more
do you
because
ever
they all
watch?
use rice cookers. They have
Yeah, they
machines to
don't.
cook
It's
rice.
true.
Like you
They
push a
have very
button.
fancy rice cookers. Yes,
Yes, you
it's
just
true.
put the rice in the water in. There's a level, and you push a button. And like even like younger, probably most Asian people, I guarantee, the next Asian person you meet, ask them how they cook rice. They'll be like, I push the button.
Yep. Now,
That's
have you ever seen that Uncle Roger on YouTube?
yeah, of course,
Oh my,
yeah.
he cracks me up, dude. Hey
I
guys,
haven't
if you
seen.
just have nothing to do, just Google or just go to YouTube, look up Uncle Roger. This dude is hilarious. Talking
He's
about
I think he's like
rice.
actually some American-born like Chinese guy. He
I'm
just
sure
throws
he
on
is. I'm
throws
sure
on
he
the
is.
stupid accent to make it sound
Yeah.
like he's native or
Yeah,
whatever.
I
But
don't, I
he's like
don't
from
care.
like Florida or something.
I don't care where he's from. He can be from Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
I don't care. That dude is funny as hell. Yeah. Broccoli likes
Yeah.
him. He
But
knows.
he's right. Shay is right though. The cooking grain, I've been doing this for a while, and every time I get a new bag, I use the patty rice. Every time I get a new bag, it's different. It's like, oh
Oh,
my
it's
gosh.
100% true. That's true with. I find popcorn to be the least that way. But yes,
Yeah.
even any grain, if you source it from somewhere else, it's gonna be a whole new figuring it all out every
Exactly.
time.
The same shop, the same brand. I don't know. It was on a different part of the silo. You know, they store this stuff in huge
Sure.
silos, and the top and the bottom of the silo might be 2 different years harvests, and it's like,
Yep,
oh my God.
it's true.
It's really like he said. It's probably the most important thing about spawn production, which is the basis for everything we do. Like
Yep.
James was saying about the spawn and substrate ratios, I've been messing with that, and I know I usually do like a 1 to 2, like double the substrate as the spawn. But I did a tub of that tidal wave, the tidal TW2, whatever the heck that is. And like I didn't have enough spawn to fill up the mono tub, so I was just like, whatever, let's give it a go. It's on its fourth flush now, and the fourth
Yep.
flush is like pretty weak, but they're big and they
Right.
just like pin way better. And I think it goes back to that. If you were doing a multi-spore and you want to get different expressions of the genotypes, like less spawn, I don't know, there's different thought patterns on this, but yeah, maybe less spawn is better if you're trying to get weird things, go from a multi-spore or a T0 make spawn and spawn at a lower rate. You're gonna give those weird ones a chance to pop up, right? So if you're gonna clone something later from a unique phenotype, maybe you've got to give it a chance to like sort of. You might only get one fruit body, but that'll be the weird one, right?
Right.
So that might be why also I think maybe the ghetto swabbing thing, if you make a ghetto swab and you take a T0 plate from a ghetto swab and then you let that expand immediately on the spawn and then you use a low spawn rate to sub, like more sub and
Right.
less
Yep.
spawn, you're giving all those little colonies and those little
Chance to fight.
populations. Yeah. And so one of them fruits up.
I believe that.
Yeah, and the competition also, like they're gonna be like, oh my God, I'm running out of water. I'm running out of, like, I'm fighting with my neighbors. I'm running out of water. Like, I'm running out of room. Like, I need to make a mushroom and get the hell out of here.
See,
Like,
that's my theory about why the morphologies from the first fruiting generation after, whether it's the serial dilution crosses versus the ghetto crosses. My theory is that if you're smearing tens of thousands of spores from one cultigen against tens of thousands of spores of another one and then creaming it into some agar, you just have an absolute hyphal orgy going on at that level. And there it has to be something different going on that's making those first flush fruits look a little less like the serial dilution ones where you got to wait a couple generations to start seeing the interesting stuff. You seem to see it quicker on the ghetto cross.
for sure.
It's
Oh,
got to be the fighting. They're fighting. They're the dicarions. There's a bunch of them. They got to be fighting with each other, doing something.
100%. There's one little caveat to that is when you are doing a ghetto cross, you are looking for a difference immediately, as opposed to doing the
Right.
monocarrions where you're looking for a difference later. So it comes down
Yes.
to numbers again. If you're looking for the expression of a different, that's also the idea between doing like a T0 plate for spawn and like a T5 plate for spawn.
Right.
T5 plate, you've got a monoculture. T0 plate, you might have 50 different cultivars or whatever on there. And so when you put that to spawn, you could get the strongest one that wins, or you could get that little guy in the corner that has a chance, and you end up with some weird thing. So it goes back to numbers. I don't like it really when people say one's better or worse. It's just a
Agree.
different technique. It's a
Yep.
different technique.
And you're doing a lot of work either way.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
where the work
Exactly.
ends up sitting down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, you're
Exactly.
for sure with the ghetto cross. If your first flush looks like one or the other, it didn't work.
Yeah.
If it
And you
looks
throw it away.
different, yeah, you move on. If it looks different,
Yeah.
especially if it looks like, we had a great example tonight with the pearly gates and the Melmac. It literally fucking looked exactly like half of either fruit. Like it was abundantly clear. It's like when you see, like, one of my kids looks exactly like me. One of my kids looks almost exactly like my wife, and one kid looks like exactly both of us. That's what
One
you're
of them
looking
doesn't.
for.
One of them doesn't look like the black guy down the street, does he?
No. No. Nope. I handle my business, Ed. You ain't got to worry about that.
My brother, he looks like a Mexican. My mom used to constantly get questions like,
Oh.
I don't think there was any Mexican neighbors, but there might have
Right.
been, maybe at the pool hall.
Yeah, that one's hard to hide. There's no. If you're
we need
drinking
that
that Kool-Aid,
fingerprinting.
you're definitely not hiding that.
Can we
there
use
was a-
ITS for that?
No need. No need. Yeah.
Oh, but I love it, the whole breeding thing, but it gets like more murky. The more you talk about it, it's like, oh my gosh, maybe that's not right either. Like Mendelian genetics also, there's codominance, incomplete dominance. Like all these characters we're talking about, I did my little 10-minute YouTube video explaining Mendelian genetics. The whole time I was thinking in my head, bullshit, 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 this is bullshit, this is bullshit.
Right.
Like, it doesn't really apply to plant breeding. And if you watch interviews with like these Dutch guys who've been breeding tulips for like 300 years, they're all just like basically the same thing. Like, we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Right.
We just cut off these fucking like male stamens and we hope something good happens. This one dude was like, yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years, like every day of my life, and I just got one new cultivar.
Right.
And like, these things take time. Luckily, our generation times are faster. But like, even the people that are the cannabis breeders, oh my god, the next 20-year-old kid I meet that says I'm a cannabis breeder, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Like, just because you got pollen and pollinated a female cannabis plant does not make you a breeder, buddy.
Right.
Stop. I wouldn't even like. I don't even call myself a mycologist, let alone a freaking fungi breeder. Come on. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. We just grow stupid stuff in a plastic tub.
FAFO. That's what we're doing. I mean,
Bag.
dude, every time people talk about fuck around and find out, I'm just like, yeah, that's science, guys.
Yeah.
That's a
kinda
very
is.
rudimentary way of describing the scientific method.
That's it. Well, Mendel didn't know what the hell he was doing. It took two other dudes like 30 years later to figure out, like, oh yeah, like, because he didn't know all the terminology and they didn't know what DNA was.
Right.
Like when Mendel did his original publications in this like little journal that like for the church that he was a monk in or something, he didn't know. That's the thing. Mendel didn't describe Mendelian genetics.
Right.
All these things that get accredited to like Einstein. Like Einstein never talked about that stuff. Like people, like a lot of these people, Schrodinger's cat. Like, yeah, he kind of alluded to like some of these ideas, but people take
what
them
we do,
way
though, dude.
farther.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus. What we got is not what he planned, I can tell you that right now. That was a Jewish reformer. He was trying to reform the Jewish faith. He was not trying to have a bunch of Gentiles take it over. No offense to Christians, but that's the truth. That was a
We're
Jew
gonna get banned.
trying to
You're gonna get
reform.
banned from
Right.
YouTube. They'll
Anyway.
dox us. They'll be burning stuff in our front yard.
I mean, he's
They
awesome.
burn my banana tree.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so we're at 3 hours again.
Okay.
So we got it's done. It's midnight. I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
It's been
Oh, yeah,
great.
that's right.
I'm hoping it. I'm hoping we keep getting more people. I've talked to a few people who are getting into it, doing the fungal barcoding. I'm going to be chit-chatting with a buddy tomorrow about it. I was about to go tomorrow, and then I realized I don't have my master mix. I don't have my TAC polymerase stuff for the amplification. I thought I ordered it, and then I went and looked in the fridge, because I ordered all that crap, all the primers and everything, and I pulled it out, and I'm like, holy crap, I didn't buy that tube. That's the one tube I need. So I'm waiting for it to show up. I ordered some from Hart Singer, so I'll be good here in a minute.
Yeah,
and then I'll be rocking and rolling.
Make sure you don't forget the primers. I did that a few
Yeah.
times. Like, some people actually will put, if they're gonna do this, we shouldn't talk about PCR. It's a big topic. But yeah, make sure all those like 5 or 6 ingredients.
You forget
like, put them
don't
all.
forget the
If
ingredients.
you forget one,
Yeah.
like the magnesium or the primers or the DNTPs, like it won't work.
It's not gonna work. Yep.
Like, try making a cake without like baking powder, and like
Yep.
it doesn't work.
I don't bake cakes. I'm like Shay. I just cook. I don't bake. I'm with you. You can buy cakes now, guys. You don't gotta bake cakes anymore.
I know.
They're all at
exactly.
the grocery
What's the
store.
point,
It's all
man?
good.
I know. It's everything.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much. Next week, hold on. Who we got? Oh, so I've been trying to get Gordo on here for a while. At one point in time, he said he wanted to come on. I just haven't been able to make it happen. I want to, keep talking about pans. A lot of people are still really excited about pans. They're very potent. A lot of people saying there's a unique vibe to them. I am working on some cultures I got from Jake. Hoping to be growing some pans shortly, but going to bring on one of my buddies. He's a real fun dude. Definitely live wire. So get ready for, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be exciting. But we're going to, he's a big fan of Jake Onsid and of Gordo Tech, and he's definitely growing pans well and has kind of amalgamated a process that I think is pretty similar to Gordo's. But anyway, he's going to be on. We're going to talk about growing pans next week. And then who else do I got? Oh, I think I have, I got somebody for Behind the Veil. I want to make sure that's correct before I say who yet. But I'll have it up on the channel here shortly. And Ed and I will figure out where to next, what the next discussion will be, and we'll go from there.
Statistical tree building, I think, will be the next thing.
I think that the phylogenetics, the understanding, the numbers, stuff like that is probably a good
what
call.
all those sequences, how you can, it's a very, very large topic too. So
I mean, we're dabbling here still. We're just trying.
Yeah, maybe.
We're just trying to entice people. We're like, this is like the mushroom grow kit from North Spore right now. We're just trying to get you hooked. Yes.
But there's a lot of smart people out there that need to be utilized. Definitely.
Oh yeah, we're gonna put them to work. It's happening. We already got a nice little crew going in the Discord for some higher level stuff. It's good. Yeah, and so many good growers out there. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Shay. Thanks, James. Thanks to all my Patreon supporters. I have a lot of timestamps up, and the guy that I use is rounding the bend on finishing up timestamps for all the videos. So now you can go back if you're like, hey, there was something Whitebeard talked about. Where was that? You don't have to watch the whole thing again. You can kind of go back and find that. So you'll find most of the old videos now have all that stuff. So that's all thanks to the support from the people on Patreon. If you love tuning in Mondays or whenever you end up watching the podcast, please consider subscribing, even at a low level. A very nominal monthly $5 a month is not a lot of money. I spend that on a stupid hamburger, when I go out to Five Guys, man. So it's not a lot. Really helps me keep paying the bills and keeping the podcast going. I appreciate it. Anyway, till next week, take care. See you guys.